Gay guys rule in prison. Hey, y'all.
Yeah,
Kiki's here. Matt. Matt.
They would sit on my lap. Just adult. I'm like, hi. I'm like, little help. I started crying. In my lap, just crying. I'm like, can somebody?
Hey, you guys. Me and Tom Simon went to a comedy show recently, and we met Carl. Carl was the headline act, and that's how he ended up on the podcast.
Sorry, I missed the behind the scenes story.
What?
How were you in prison?
The quick version is... I'm gonna get... Yeah, you want to say... Yeah. The quick version is I was a mortgage broker. I owned a mortgage company, which in Florida is not hard to do.
Yeah.
You know, you take your class, you take your little class, you get your little certificate, and back then for an extra $250, you could become a brokerage business. Then you hire other guys. So I was a mortgage broker for about a year and a half, and then I started my own company and hired a bunch of guys, and then so I'm getting a piece of what they get, and very quickly I had a dozen guys. The problem is, from the very first loan I ever did, contained fraud. Now it's like, you know, what guys are like, kind of like soft fraud, where you had a verification of rent, and my borrower had been 30 days late on her rent like a year and a half ago. But that's a deal killer. She's not getting a 95% loan. That's over. You're done. You're done.
Yeah.
So, you know, I white it out, make a copy. I was told by my manager, this is what I do. Put it in there and then never find it. And sure enough, the loan closed. Made like $3,500. And the next guy that comes in, you know, he made $55,000 on his W-2 that year. He made 60. He could get the loan. Well, I got a degree in fine arts. So I white it out. I fix the thing. I send it in. Boom. Loan closes. So very quickly, by the time these guys are working for me, we're all doing fraud. Within, let's say, 2-3 years, I get in trouble. It's complicated, but I was buying houses, renovating them, and selling them to my mother to get around something called seasoning. I mean, my mother. Sorry. Did I just say my mother? My wife at the time. So you could buy a house, renovate it, but you can't refinance it for a year at the new value.
Got it.
They make you wait a year. So,
Yeah.
but I could buy it, renovate it, and sell it to my wife at the time in her maiden name. So it's like a quick refi. Anyway, what ends up happening is a woman that worked for me started her own company. She got in trouble. She worked with the FBI. They bust me, but there was no dollar loss. So I get 3 years probation, and I get divorced from my wife. And what I decided to do was okay, I could go sell used cars, you know, and go move in my old bedroom, start my life over again, claim bankruptcy, or I could just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm very good at it.
Right.
This was a fluke
that
I got caught.
For real.
So I figure out how to get Social Security to issue me Social Security numbers to children that don't exist by making fake birth certificates and fake shot records. And then I build a credit profile on each one of those. I then went into Ybor City and I bought houses for $50,000, did $5,000 or $10,000 in renovations, but I recorded the sale of those houses at $200,000 in each one of these people's names. I then refinanced those houses at the $200,000 level, and the banks were lending me $180,000, $190,000, $210,000, $180,000, whatever. I only got $50,000 in it, so I just made $120,000. I would make the payments for 6 months and let them go into foreclosure. And each one of these guys bought, and there's probably 10 of them, 8 or 10 of them. Each one of them bought 5 or 6 houses. So I would make about $1 million and change on each one. After the cost, maybe $600,000-$700,000. And then I just kept buying and buying. And I drove the value of the area up from a median price of about $120,000 to $300,000. That's what Forbes said. So I borrowed $11.5 million doing that. My mortgage company had done about $40 million in taxes and fraudulent loans because I was still helping them. Because I'd sold it to a guy that was a CPA. Anyway, eventually the FBI comes to arrest me again because, you know, you're not allowed to do that. Yeah. And so they come to arrest me. I go on the run. I'm on the run for 3 years. I borrow another $3.5 million. I got caught in the bank then. I was actually handcuffed. But by that point, what I was doing was I started, because you can't, these fabricated individuals that I was making, I could get an ID in their name. Like I could go in the DMV and get them to give me an ID, but I could never get a driver's license. So what I did was, and don't judge me, I started surveying homeless people. And so I got the homeless people's information, and I would then go get a driver's license in their name in one of the states where they didn't have a driver's license. I'd get a passport, and I was traveling and whatever. And And so I ended up doing that. Like I said, did another 3.5 to 4.5 million, depending on who you believe. And after 3 years, and actually, like I said, I got caught one time. And that actually has changed the scam that time. I actually just started buying houses, and then I would go downtown. I'd create a fake satisfaction of mortgage, and I'd satisfy the loan in public record. So now I own a $250,000 house with no mortgage on it. And then I'd go to like 4 or 5 different banks and borrow money against the house all at the same time. So they'd lend me like 1 million or 900,000, 800, 1.3 million. So I pull that money out. One time I got caught in a bank, handcuffed, brought downtown. I was number 1 on the Secret Service's most wanted list, and I convinced them that they had the wrong guy. I haven't done anything wrong. My name's Gary Sullivan.
So
yeah, and they let me go.
That was going to be my next question: is it like a gambling high, or is it like these people are stupid and I'm just gonna keep going?
Because I think
because I feel guilty for nothing. Yeah. Well, like I could do nothing, and I'm still like, what did I do?
I don't have any guilt. I don't have any guilt. I mean, look,
that's genius.
It's like kind of amazing. Yeah, the psyche, yeah.
Yeah, you can't expect a criminal. Most criminals are psychopaths, so you can't really expect a criminal to.
Well, no, I had a cop like light up right behind me, and I was like, "What did I do?" Yeah. And I'm like under the, and I'm guilty, but then he passes me, but I was still like questioning, like, what did I do?
Oh, listen, I got
clearly I did something.
I got pulled over so many times as this one guy. I had to go to traffic school as him. So I was about to lose his license, and I kind of want to lose his license. I got a car and a condo.
Like, that is a lot to keep track of.
As a matter of fact, that guy, I legally had his name changed just to see if I could do it, just to go through the process, and actually paid a lawyer to change his name because, I had the same name as him, so I wanted to go through the process. Like I was always trying to figure stuff out.
You obviously clearly had like enough money. Why didn't you just
stop? That's the whole thing is to answer that question. It starts off as if I could just get my bills paid.
Sure.
And then it becomes, if I just had if I could just get like $100,000 in the bank, I'd have a cushion. I'd feel better. Okay. And then it's 500, and then you get to 1 million, and then you get to 2 million. And then the line is just blurred, and you just figure, you know what? I'm so fucking good at this. They're never going to catch me because I've been caught many times. I've been arrested, brought downtown, convinced them the bank made a mistake. You need to let me go. They let me go. I've been chased by the U.S. Marshals. I've been caught by the banks, had meetings with lawyers, been caught and been told, we're calling the FBI, this is fraud, and said, look, let me just pay you back. You can call the FBI, you'll never get your money back, but I can cut you a check right now for $200,000. You can't do both. You call the FBI, you're going to get a fucking house that's worth $40,000 back, or you want your $200,000. Which one? You want the FBI digging through your files? And then it's it's someone like Washington Mutual, and they're like, you have the 200,000? I do. So eventually I get caught. I go to prison. I end up doing 13 years. Wow. There's more to that story too, but I get 13 years. So I got out 5 years ago.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Like, first of all, you have a brilliant mind. Wow. They should be interviewing you.
Where's my wife? I know. Where's my wife? Are this on?
I just recorded.
Yeah, you got to record this.
That's a lot to keep track of. Right? Like, holy moly.
What's funny is do you remember the guy that I was with? The retired FBI agent?
Oh, yeah.
So he comes on the podcast all the time. His name is Tom Simon. And he was a private investigator, licensed Florida private investigator, and he's a retired FBI agent.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
He investigated financial
Was that
crime.
the guy I talked to?
Yes.
Oh,
you were sitting right there.
I didn't know. That's the guy I meant. And what do you do? And he's like, FBI.
Yeah. And I was sitting I was with him, but it's so funny because.
I didn't even ask you.
I was going to mention that. That's what was hilarious about that was that my wife's sitting next to me. So you went from the guy next to us, and you're joking with him.
Yeah.
The people behind the one guy, right? The guy. Oh, I didn't even tell Colby this. The gambler guy.
That was a weird story, right?
And then, I wanted to turn around and say, "Hey, bro, like if you could talk about that for an hour, we could do a podcast. Like this is not bad."
I
know. And so then you skipped me. Then you talked to Tom's son. And Jess looked. My wife, she looked at me and she's like, "Oh boy, like, what are you gonna say when this guy hits you and starts giving you a hard time?" And then you skipped me and went to Tom. And I was just like,
it's so weird, right?
Yeah, I was like, boy, what's funny is I'm about to blow all these fuckers out.
Yeah.
When you hear
so what
this.
was going on? So
he was the
stand-up
headline.
comedian.
And you're calling out people.
I just, and it's funny because I don't riff.
Works the crowd, yeah.
I don't even riff that much a lot of times when I'm doing a set, but it was a small group.
Yeah.
And that environment, is conducive. And then plus the guy, I don't know, it just was an interesting crowd. But the fact that I hit almost everybody and then skipped over him.
Oh, you skipped over
Yeah.
that.
So many times.
Yeah. Jess was like, when we left, she goes, what would you have said if he had asked you, what do you do? I said, I would have said, I run a true crime podcast. And then she was like, she goes, well, she said, do you think he would say? I said, of course. He's immediately going to say, oh, wow, how'd you get into that?
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to say, oh, well, I did 13 years in federal prison for being a con man. I said, and then it's going to explode.
You're off the hook in the back.
Right. Yeah. And then he's going to start asking questions, and I have all these funny things. I said, that would have. But it was so funny, too, because the crowd was so small. I thought, boy, these guys are going to, these guys are going to ignore, they're not even going to mention how small this crowd is. That we're in a movie theater,
right?
And there's
it's so
27
weird,
people in the crowd, or 24 people. Nobody's even going to address that. But then everybody did address it. And then you came in and you addressed it.
Yeah.
And I thought that's what was hilarious. They're all like, well, hey, so I'm a stand-up comedian, but I mean, based on the crowd, you can see I also have a regular job. And
that was Bob.
They all go into that. And then they start joking around about the crowd, and we're in a movie theater, like,
we have made it.
Last night it was funny. There was like a whole family and they had shirts on. What did it say?
Oh yeah, the fun family.
Forced family fun.
Yeah.
Shirts. I mean, it was funny. And then there was this kid, and Carl's, like, you're the grandma, you're the mom. Okay, like figuring out everybody's family. And then, oh, you're the grandson. And he kept like going to the grandson. Okay, grandson. And then finally he's like, what's your name? And Zach. Okay, nice stash, whatever. Turns out he plays for the Cardinals. Like he's a professional pitcher for the Cardinals. And I'm like, I'm on Wikipedia. It was cool.
Probably interesting people in there, right? Yeah. Because everybody you talked to was interesting.
Yeah.
Nobody sat there and said, I'm a Walmart manager. Nobody said that. Nobody said.
I told her when I got home, like a guy lost $30,000. Like his wife lost $30,000 on a cruise, penny slots. Like, how do you lose penny slots?
Yeah. Well, there's more to that story, too. Yeah.
There was. He kept going. The guy, apparently, she had won a bunch of money a few weeks before that, and then went on a cruise and then lost all the money. And then went to another guy when he wouldn't lend her any money. She's like, I need you to lend me some money. And lied to him, told him, oh, my card got stolen or something. I got robbed. I don't have any money. He was just like, I don't think it was his wife. I think it was his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then he was like, okay, well, show me the receipt, show me the stuff, and I'll lend you the money. And she got upset with him, then contacted another guy, and he lent her some money. And he said, yeah, we're done. But she's obviously got a gambling habit.
Yeah.
Now you've lost all your money, including the money that you just won. And now you're coming after me to give you more money.
Right.
Which is, and you're lying to me. You're not saying I got a problem. I'll go to, to me, I would actually lend you the money if you're going to, you realize you said, look, I fucked up. Here's what I did. I'm going to change.
And that's what I wanted to ask you too. Okay, really last question.
Oh, no, this is fine. This is probably going back into the podcast.
Yeah,
because this is amazing.
Or we also have Patreon.
What,
you do? Okay.
What was your turning point? Like where you were like...
I mean, I got 26 years. I mean,
but you could be there like hustling in prison too.
26 years and you got on 13.
I got it down to 13.
You could have been hustling in prison though, and could have been doing your thing or whatever. But what like changed you as a man that you come out of prison? Like, okay,
that you get changed.
Everybody thinks
that.
They want to believe that. It's Hollywood. Fucking Hollywood.
Shawshank Redemption.
No.
Yeah, we've all seen it.
It's like
he didn't change. He didn't murder anybody. He was fine.
This is why I say
red changed.
Right. Yeah. Red.
No, this is why I say you have to be changed because you wouldn't be married in a good relationship.
That's funny. I think that's probably just you get older, right? Like I would say
because a woman needs security.
Yeah. No. That. Yeah, I would say that's definitely a change. But I also think that's just older. Like I don't. So one thing, when I was younger, obviously you're extremely insecure. Sorry, extremely insecure. which of course, obviously I'm still insecure. But at that point, I was probably very insecure. I was desperate to make, my father proud, to live up to his expectations, which, I never did. And, just, it's all look at me, right? Which it still is. But, you go to prison, and it's funny, I met a friend in prison named Pete. And I don't think Pete even realizes that this is how I feel. You know what I'm saying? And I think it was probably not like a moment. Does that make sense? It's probably a period of time. And I remember Pete saying, I think he stole this from Einstein, but, and it was basically, he used to say, you can't come to prison and behave in the same manner that led you to prison, get released, and not expect to come back.
Yeah.
Because if you're there long enough, and I know Pete had been there long enough. Pete did 26 years. And Pete, and if I was 13, can I tell you how, you want to talk about depressing? You watch some crackhead, and when I say crackhead, some guy who probably got 10 years for selling, for bringing a gun to a $20 rock sale. Like just the dumbest fucking thing you could ever think. You just spent $500,000 to lock this guy up because he's a crackhead.
Yeah.
Like, you're just an idiot. Like, that's just stupidity. But you see this guy finish his sentence, get out, come back on a violation for his probation, because they don't just release you, you have probation. Mm-hmm. Get out on a violation, squash, because usually when they send you back, they'll say, like, let's say you have 3 years paper, they'll send you back for a year, and you don't have paper anymore, because you obviously can't do it. So you're just going to do another year in prison. And it's like, all right, what do I care? I just did 10 years. So he comes back, gets out after a year. So now I've seen you once. I saw you finish your sentence, get out, come back, do another year, get out again, get another charge, come back for 3 years, get out. So complete that sentence, get out, get on probation, get another violation, come back and get out again. And I'm not halfway done with my sentence. And you have to start realizing, like, and it's not just that, it's lots of guys. You see guys that you're like, this guy has a college education. He's smart. I spent 2 years talking to this guy. He's brilliant. He's an amazing guy. He's funny. He's charismatic. He got out and he had a plan, and he had a support group. His parents were there. His brother was going to give him money. They were going to start a business. They're going to go into construction. You can do that with a felony. They had a play. His brother was already in construction. He's going to come, and he goes out, and 3 years later, bam, he's back.
Same crime.
For a fraud charge due to construction. So anyway, so my point is that I just got to that point where I realized, like, I need to figure out some way I can get out of here and not come back. And part of that is I have to stop thinking the way I'm thinking. And 2, I need to not do things for money. I need to start I need to figure out, I used to say this all the time. Guys are like, what are you going to do when you get out? I'm like, I'm going to figure out a way to make a living just being me. And they were like, what does that mean? I'm like, I'm going to figure out how to make a living just doing the things that I would do if money wasn't an issue. And if that means I have to sleep in someone's spare room. If you sleep hot at night, you know how disruptive that can be. Whether you're having trouble falling asleep, you're waking up sweating in the middle of the night, or all of the above, that's where GhostBed can help. As the makers of the coolest beds in the world, GhostBed is your go-to for cooling mattresses, cooling pillows, and cooling bedding. From their signature Ghost Ice fabric to patented technology that adjusts to your body's temperature, every GhostBed mattress is designed with cooling in mind. So whether you want a plusher mattress that cushions your shoulders and hips, or a firm option with exceptional support, your GhostBed will keep you cool and comfortable all night long. When you purchase a GhostBed mattress, your comfort is guaranteed. You can try out your mattress for 101 nights, risk-free, to make sure it's the right fit for you. Plus, they offer free shipping, and most items are shipped within 24 hours. If you're not sure which ghost bed is right for you, check out their mattress quiz. You'll answer a few questions and get a personalized recommendation. Even better, our listeners can get 50% off site-wide for a limited time. Just visit ghostbed.com/Cox and use the code COX at checkout. Again, that's ghostbed.com/Cox with the code COX at the checkout to save a whopping 50% off site-wide. Then that's what I'll do. It's exactly what I did. I did the 7 years in halfway house, got out, moved in someone's spare room, and just wrote. I wrote,
cool.
I did podcasts, I started doing speaking engagements, and I paint. I have a degree in fine arts, so I started painting.
Cool.
So I paint. So I like to paint. I could get paid for painting.
You paint in prison?
Yeah. Well, I did it a little bit and I drew, but mostly what I did was write the true crime stories because I figured at some point I could get out, and I optioned the life rights of a couple people while incarcerated and got paid. So I thought, if you know you've got me over a barrel here and you just cut me a check for $6,000 or $7,000, what are you going to do when I'm a force to be reckoned with? What are you going to do when I have a website and I have access to multiple stories and I'm writing and I have books and I transform myself? Now you're not going to give me $6,000 or $7,000 for an option. Now I'm going to get paid. And what if I could get a series made? What if I could get a movie made? I mean, not that I care, but it's fun. I always joke around.
Did you squirrel any money away?
No, but everything.
I was like, did you bury it under a rock?
Everybody asked.
One of it was like the Dateline or the American Greed. One of them was like, and to this day, $5 million is still missing.
Yeah, because they say at the end, those bastards. You know how many people?
You're digging like Fargo. You're in the snow.
Listen, I used to say if I could have arranged it, because my ex-wife used to say, I know you got money buried out there. Like, all right, enough. I go, let's talk about something else. So, I used to think I would love one day to wait for her to get home, pull up in a car, get out with a shovel, walk into her backyard, dig something I planned the night before, pull out something, throw it in the back of the trunk, and she'd be going, what are you doing? What are you doing? What is that? What is that? Don't you worry about it. Get in the car and leave. That would have been great.
There the whole time.
Yeah. That's mine. That's mine.
Well, I see it as this. It's such a cool evolution, honestly, because it's like you're chasing money, you're running from the insecurities that are nipping at your heels constantly, and now you full circle and you've made the pain your purpose, and you're in like this really cool, authentic place.
Yeah,
it's so
like
cool.
I know what you're doing.
And honestly, I think this is like the lesson of the ages, that everyone, when you get to that authentic place of, making your pain your purpose, that's the money spot right there. That's the sweet spot.
It's not just women too.
Yeah.
Because I get emails from guys all the time. I get Instagram,
hey,
bro, you're so inspiring. Your story's inspiring. What you're doing is you've convinced me to do this and that, and I stopped feeling bad for my. And they start telling me all these things, and I'm thinking, I've never tried to be inspiring. I have never said one inspiring thing. I've never made an attempt to do this. And yet I honestly, it is probably at least once a day. I get that. Or even, like I said, when we went to dinner first with Tom and his wife, we went there, and when we sat down, Tom's wife said, and I was like, hey, what's going on? How are you? Met her, and she sat down, and she's looking at me a couple times. And I said, I said something to her, and she said, yeah, I've watched. She goes, I've watched all your stuff. She goes, I've watched, well, not all of it. She goes, I've watched all the ones you did with Tom and a few others. And she goes, honestly, I'm just fascinated by your story. Like she goes, the way you've turned this around is just amazing. And I look at my wife. My wife is just like, oh, jeez, this again.
Was Tom one of the people that busted you?
No. He has a huge presence. He's got like 250,000 followers on Instagram, another 100 and something thousand on TikTok.
Yeah, really?
And think about that. And I always wanted to ask his wife that.
Like 2,000.
I wanted to ask it.
Stand up.
Because his wife has to be like, this guy is a button down FBI agent for 25 or 26 years he worked, retires, and starts posting on, and figures he's going to be a private investigator, just, something to do. He's 53, 54. He can't retire. Like, what are you going to do at 54? You're going to retire? Yeah. So he's like, yeah, I'll go get my license and I'll do stuff on the side. Starts posting these little videos on Instagram, and TikTok, blows up.
Like what kind of videos?
Little things. He's like, John Peters, was a teller at a bank, and he tells a little minute and a half to 2 minute story about how John Peters embezzled $1 million and then was eventually caught because of this and this and this, and then went on the run, and then this and then. So he tells a little story. Some of them are his stories. Some of them are he just pulls them right off of the Department of Justice press releases, and then he'll do some research, and he'll put together a little story, and he'll tell. He does it every day. they're hugely popular, and he's great at it. And so now his private investigative, company or firm it's blown up. And we met him, and I believe Colby contacted him and said, "Hey, was it you or was it
me?
Was it might have been Tyler?" So somebody, one of us contacted him and said, "Hey, would you like to come on this podcast? You're in Jacksonville. Would you mind?" I got him on the phone. He said, "Yeah, can we do this remote?" And I was like, "I'd rather have you drive down." And I said, we'll pitch you this, we'll pitch you that. He's like, "Yeah, I don't really need you to pitch anything. I'm pretty much kicking ass anyway." He goes, but he said, "You know what?" He said, "Yeah, let me think about this." And he came back. He goes, "Yeah, I talked to my wife. Yeah, I'm going to drive down." So he drove down, did one. It did pretty well. He's been on twice since then. And, there's and we keep running into each other too. Like we keep getting contacted by the same producers who they'll interview him, then they'll interview a week later they interview me. He'll find out that they're also considering me. We've also I was being considered to be a what do you call it? A
expert.
Yeah. I was going to say professional, an expert witness in a court trial. And 2 of the lawyers were on board with it, and 1 was absolutely against having this con man testify. And so they ended up contacting him, and while they were talking to him, he said, "Well, who else are you considering for this?" They go, "Well, there's also this other guy, and the problem is this." And he explains, he goes, "I know Matt Cox very well." He said, "And if you're considering using him, I would rather not be considered. He's an expert at this. He's this. I think you should." And they said, "Well, we'd really like to, consider both of you." He goes, "Well, let me see if he has an issue with it. If he has an issue with it, I'm going to bow out." So he called me and said, "Look, here's what's going on. What do you think?" I said, "Yeah, I don't care if they pick you or me. I don't care." They picked him. And then, by the way, the guy, they lost. They lost.
Oh,
I mean, I think I would have been compelling on the stand, but that's fine. You went with the solid, the sure thing. It doesn't always work out.
How did you guys meet to get to the comedy show?
Oh, his wife, his son is down from, I want to say I'm going to say FSU. He's down from FSU.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And, okay, good.
Yeah.
And they were going someplace in Tampa to go. They were doing a little vacation, and some of the stuff was in Tampa. And his wife said, "Oh, Matt's got to be there. We should meet Matt." But it wasn't Tom's idea. That irritated me.
Their dynamic is funny because Matt will cut up and because he'll come on and tell fraud stories, how he catches these criminals, and he's very straight. This is what happened. This is what happened. This is how I did it.
These are the facts.
Yeah, these are facts. And Matt's
really?
He's like, "Man, I feel bad for the guy. Can you just cut him a break?" Joking around.
The guy's 65 years old. You send him to prison for 4 years, he could die. He goes, "He's fine." He goes, "He embezzled $50,000. I go, "You didn't even get the money. For God's sakes, Tom." We'll have this whole thing, and he's like, "Your empathy for these criminals disturbs me."
He did seem pretty straight.
He is.
The way I talk. His son, because he followed me on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
I looked at see what followed. And so he goes to FSU, but he's an actor.
Is he?
It says actor. Why wouldn't you come up and talk to me?
You know what's funny is
you're not a very good one because you should network.
That's funny.
Well, he's also, I think he's 20.
Yeah, he's 20.
He's also a lifeguard.
Oh yeah.
So he's a lifeguard. Yeah. He's 20.
Yeah.
Actor. Give it 6 months. In 6 months, it'll be something completely different. It won't be biology anymore. It'll be completely different.
Yeah, he was going to school for biology, but he wanted to skydive.
He said, "I want to jump out of planes," and
I'm like, "Huh."
You went to school for marine biology.
And I'm a comic.
Right. What? Are we done with my questions, or you want?
We'll be asking throughout the whole thing.
To your inspiration point, Carl's working on a bit about how positive people are so annoying. So I think it'll hit.
So annoying.
I went to LA 4 years ago. I went to LA, and this is when I was doing a bunch of podcasts before. I think I just started this, or no, it was before I started this. But I actually went to LA. Why did I go to? What a jackass move! I mean, I made some real mistakes. I'm going to all these big podcasts. I have nowhere to send these people. I got out. I don't really understand how to kind of funnel everything towards a platform where you get that's monetized so that it's beneficial. Instead, I'm just like, "Oh, I'm going to go on so and so's podcast," and so is like, "Why? Oh, just to get exposure." To what end? I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, what ended up happening was I went to LA and I went on a few of them, and one of them I was supposed to be on was Kill Tony. And so they had me scheduled, but I had a meeting with a producer to pitch a series. And well, it was a producer director that I was hooked up with, and we had one with another producer. So he was like, "This is when it is," and so I couldn't do Kill Tony. I've never been so relieved in my life, because you have to do like a full minute. You have to do like back then, like I don't know what it is now.
Monologue or whatever.
You had to do a 1 minute skit.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, and they're like, "Oh, you're funny. You could do that." I'm like, "No, I'm not funny. You know, it's not fucking easy to be funny for a full minute." So, I don't know who thinks that's funny. You can't just you got to be but you're smart. That doesn't mean anything. You have to be clever. You have to be sharp. You have to be on your feet. That's like working the crowd.
Well,
that could go bad.
To do a minute is hard.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
To even get somebody to laugh in a minute.
That's what I'm saying. There's no
build up. 5 minutes, yeah.
And it's funny because everybody was like, "No, you're funny." I'm like, "No, you don't understand. My stories require setup.
Yeah.
Like I can tell a funny story in the course of telling things that happened in prison, but I have to explain that I went to prison. Here's why I went to prison. A minute's over. It's already over.
Yeah.
Even if I just said bank fraud and moved on, doesn't matter that each one of these stories it's still a minute, at least 2 minutes. Like, I'm not going to.
And even their comics I see that are on there, it's kind of like, they're just weird. And that's what's funny.
More time.
Yeah, because they're not really comics. A lot of these guys are like just quirky dudes that are just starting comedy. So, but then they're getting this name and then headlining.
Right.
And then crowds are going to see these guys and they're not that good. They're not that strong.
Well, it's, yeah.
They can't handle hecklers.
Yeah.
I always say, I've said this a few times, is that, I don't know, there was a Barbara Walters, the last Barbara Walters interview that she did, like before she like retired. I don't know where she was arrested. She's probably still doing it now. They retire a few times, but she was retiring. And the person interviewing her said, what are the smartest people? What's the smartest group of people you've ever interviewed? And she goes, comics. And they went, and she went, really? She goes, why would you say that? She's like, you've interviewed scientists. It might have been a man interviewing her. There was like scientists, you've politicians, you've interviewed, lawyers. Why? She goes, you have to be really, really fast and smart to be able to be funny at the drop of a hat. And she said, they're some of the best conversationalists. She goes, and they're some of the funniest people. She goes, and you have to be super smart. She goes, and it's a different kind of humor than a scientist. She goes, scientists are not funny.
Yeah.
But she had a whole little bit of her own doing that. And I remember thinking that is true. I think that's
true.
You're underrated. People think, oh, he's funny. There's no stupid comics. You don't really know any. I don't remember, unless they're not funny.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of stupid comics.
Right,
but yeah, no, it's I don't, I wouldn't consider myself a genius or anything. But yeah, I guess in that moment, in that realm of off the cuff. But I think you're kind of born with it, or it's more natural than anything. I don't think it's a learned.
But you have to have some kind of intellect to read a room and to have self-awareness and to know when to pivot and to know how to manage a crowd and
plus some time.
All in the moment.
It takes time. It takes 5 years for a comic to even really know. Like, imagine starting something and going, I'm not even going to be decent at this till 5 years from now.
Yeah. I'm living it right now.
What are you talking? You're already. I looked on your page. I'm like, Jesus, Scott's got like, I'm 28 years in stand-up game. I got 2,900 followers on Instagram.
2,900.
Yeah. Right. But that's the thing. Like, now like I just shot my comedy special.
Right.
Like, after 28 years, I finally just shot a couple weeks ago in December. So.
Where was that?
That was in a theater in Vero Beach, the Riverside Theater.
Okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like we got 7 cameras, a crane, so it's gonna look great. And I did an hour, straight material. But it's like now I'm deciding, I got to take charge of my career. Like I'm at like 28 years, and maybe I should put up some clips.
Yeah.
It's like nobody knows who I am, And then I made a movie, and it's like now I got a first movie and a first stand-up, but nobody knows
who you are. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I was gonna say the other thing is too, and it's a PJ, which is Tom's son was like, we were sitting there and he goes, what do you think these guys get paid for something like this? And I looked around at the room, the 27 people that were there, and I said, yeah, bro, I'm thinking it's like $50-$75. I said, you have to think. I said the disparity between being a comic that travels around and does this, I said, and actually then has like a comedy special, I said, is huge. Like you're going from this is enough to like they're giving me a free pizza out of free a 12-inch pizza, and a Coke for free, and $30 or $50, whatever it is, basically, which is the gas to get here, and here's $500,000 to do a special. I'm I said, but think about the amount of work that somebody has to do to get to that point, and the luck.
Yeah, a lot of it's luck. It sometimes doesn't have to do with talent. Luck and some putting it and being in the right place, right plant. Time talking to the right people helps. Networking helps, but. Yeah, I started in the 90s, and it was like to feature, I got paid $100. That's the middle guy.
Yeah.
And today, I get paid $100.
Right.
Like there's like with inflation, like 30 years has gone by. Same amount, Like,
well, it's funny because when the first guy came on, he did the whole.
Oh yeah, he's
this
like
is the crowd. He's like, I have a day job,
You
obviously. And I looked at immediately. Look at PJ. I was like, he's like,
no
shit. I told you.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually gave him that. I'm like, he's like, I work at Costco, and he goes, and I'm like, I think they know.
Yeah,
like they don't. You're opening. I don't think this is paying their nut. I'm struggling even closing out the room. It's like it's not a lot because obviously I'm not a big comic, so I'm not getting like a door deal or anything.
Right.
I'm hoping people show up. And maybe
that wouldn't help. That wouldn't help the last crowd either.
No,
27.
Right.
Give me my $27.
Dude, yeah, I know. If you get
$1 each one.
Yeah, for real. A lot of comics. I mean, there's comics that sell out, and they make. Those are the guys that make the money. There's TikTok stars that are comedic because they draw. It doesn't matter.
Dude, have you seen? I was gonna say this chick has to. There's a black girl that does, that she plays a black girl. She's obviously it's a skit. Now the first one I saw, I didn't think it was a skit. Have you ever seen her where she acts like she's being interviewed, and she's sitting there, she's like, y'all, I don't even care. Like, so my boyfriend's gone. I don't even care if he's gone. But, when you get the camera going, I'll act like I'll do the crying and everything. I'll do all that because, but nobody I just think he run off. And she does this whole kind of this ghetto black girl thing. And she starts talking, but it's hilarious because she's talking because she doesn't think they're filming her. And then they're like, okay, ready to go. She's like, okay, you guys ready? Okay. Tyrese, I love you. If you could just come home. And she does a whole thing, and halfway through she stops and she kind of goes, she's like, what? I heard somebody say live. Y'all been filming the whole time? But she has a whole have you seen that?
Is she talking to herself?
No, she's talking to herself. No, she's talking to a film crew.
Okay.
And she'll talk about like how her cousin is missing. She's like, they're talking about she abducted. She 400 pounds. Nobody abducted her. You need to be checking the local McDonald's. She does. She has all these different skits. But when you see it, she did one of them, and I really thought, I think this is real. Like she was so good. She never breaks character. But she's got a whole channel of them. I'll bet you she makes $50,000 a month on her channel.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
On TikTok.
She's got millions of followers.
Yeah. And millions of views. There's 10,000 videos on any stupid question I have on anything.
Yeah.
There's a video on it by some guy. I mean, he may be Indian. Maybe it's
and you can't understand a word. Yeah. You're like, oh man, they should subtitles.
Yeah. So takes a little bit, but he's helping.
Wait, you do a good Indian.
No, I don't.
No.
Come on.
What are you talking about? You make me blush.
Yeah, but I was gonna say you got to get on that.
Yeah. I have a page, but we're gonna start because once the special's out, I'll have clips. I actually, filmed the set that I did when you guys were there, so I'll have those riffs now, and we're gonna start doing more of that.
Yeah.
Just because, which I should have been on.
Since
the
Bob.
pandemic. Yeah, Bob, the opening guy.
Yeah.
He's
Bob's
like my
gonna do
clip
it.
guy. He's like he does all the editing and producing and stuff. So and I get him stage time. And
yeah, after the show, like I go up to Carl and immediately I'm brushed off. Bob's like, you'll be stepping over here.
No, Bob did that on his own. Normally, I'd be like, give me your number.
Bob was like, I want to talk to him.
Yeah, Bob took off. I'm like, what are you doing, Dad?
Yeah, you're sitting there going, get this
his number. I'll just call him.
You're sitting there like, well, make sure you get these. Like, I've got it. I've got it. Just shutting him off. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be talking to you. Obviously, Bob, this guy.
It is so funny.
Carl did come back and say that. That Bob kind of like
completely.
Bob's like,
blocked
what
me.
Are you doing? Like Bob's now taking over as her management. Right. But yeah, no, he'll do the clips, but we're gonna start that, and because you know Matt Rife, comedian.
I feel like I've heard that.
Like he's the good looking comic that's
You're
doing
the
all
one
this
who
crowd
doesn't
work.
know.
Oh yes,
he's everywhere.
Okay, yeah,
He's
I know.
everywhere.
And just he does his thing. I worked
really
with
nice
him.
guy.
I worked with him. We worked with him twice. I opened for him in Naples one year. And he's still young. He's coming out. Like, I'm opening up for this kid, I'm just, this many years old. And then there was not really anybody there. And then the last time I worked with him was like,
it was like the Beatles,
couple years
Beatlemania,
ago.
all these girls in crop tops.
But that weekend,
it's like,
he was there. Like, he only had a couple 100,000 on followers on Instagram. And I remember his Instagram was shut down that weekend. So he didn't even have it open because he got in trouble for something.
He said something about Ukraine.
And then all of a sudden, he didn't realize the shows were kind of busy. Like, they were pretty packed out. And he was like surprised. He didn't even know what happened. And at the end of the week,
pretty
he was only
packed
supposed
out,
to,
like lined up
all
for
young
a mile.
girls. Yeah,
all young girls
I'm
and
like,
their mothers.
I'm like, I got up there. I'm like, I have nothing to say to you. We're not going to find common ground here.
Like he would just touch his hair.
Oh,
the girls were like,
girls are face the
it's
Beatles.
Like you couldn't even.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I recognize the name from my wife.
Yeah.
And he didn't even know he was going to be that big. So at the end of the week, he was supposed to get maybe $1,500, $2,000. The owner cuts him a check for $12,000, and he's like, "What is this?" He's like, well, you sold out every show.
So that was the biggest check
so
he
he's
ever
like,
had.
the biggest check he's ever had. Then after that weekend he worked with me, it's just a couple, I'm looking at his, a couple million followers. Now he's up to almost 9 million. After just 2 years, he's making almost 100 million a year. And he goes from the TikTok videos went viral.
Well, I mean, look.
He goes, one I didn't want to post.
Look at the Haktua girl.
Oh my God! Yeah, she's going to jail, right?
Yeah.
Do you know that? Did you know that story?
I feel like she should be going to jail.
Isn't she did with the whole
the rug pull? Yeah.
When she did a scam, right?
Yeah, it's called a rug pull.
A rug pull.
It's basically
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about this.
It's basically a pump and dump, but they're using crypto pump and dump scheme, but they call it a rug pull. You just jack up the price and you buy it all high, and everybody rushes in, and the price goes up high, and then you sell everything you have out, just like a typical stock scam. You get in early, you guys pump up the value of the stock, so everybody thinks it's amazing. They start buying the stock for $100, and then you sell all of your stock immediately at the high level. And then the stock plummets because everybody sees the sales, and you just dumped your $30,000 life savings as a 35-year-old man. You put $30,000
into Haktua girl.
Yeah. Into Haktua. Yeah, the Haktua currency.
Is that the attraction? Was because she got on board and they're like, oh,
they called it it was like it
was Hawk coin or something. Yeah, it was all based around Hawkonomics.
This is insane.
I feel bad for saying this because I always feel bad for saying this about a victim, but honestly, you had that comment.
Yeah, you had it.
I agree.
What were you doing?
100%.
And this guy now there's a guy talking about how I dumped my $35,000, my life savings, my kids' college fund into this, and now it's worth $2,000. And I was like, you dumped your kids' college fund into an investment
for Haktua?
But this is the insanity of fame. Like, you get fame and people, it's like this thing that people all aspire to or want or need, or it's like a gambling addiction, or like
they want to be around
get this
you.
If
high.
somebody's popular.
Yeah, and she's partnered the podcast with Jake Paul's company, which they've been in and out of cryptos, and the crypto is breeding ground.
Yeah, all their cryptos are fucking
for
trash.
degenerate gamblers. People are just pumping in. And what was funny about the Haktua thing is, a day or two after the rug pull had happened, they're having a big Twitter space. Everybody's on a voice call, and she's just in the background. It's all these people who were managing the project talking, saying like, hey, this wasn't a scam, this whatever. And then out of nowhere, she just pops on. She's like, hey, y'all. Well, anywho, I'm going to bed now. I talk to you in the morning. And then she just like disappeared for a month.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And then
is she going to do time for that, you think?
Jake Paul didn't do any time.
He did the same thing.
Yeah, we had a lawyer on here. We asked him about that, and he didn't think her specifically. He said he thinks someone will eventually be made example of, because this has been happening for 4 years probably with crypto and NFT booms. It's like all these influencers have been pooling and doing all these things, but really no one has really.
To us does some time. For everybody.
Someday,
she should do it for all of us.
Yeah.
Someday they'll grab somebody and he'll go to trial, and the guy will get 20 years, and then everybody will get scared. Yeah. But until then, they're just going to keep ripping people off.
There was a kid just recently, because like crypto started going up again, so everybody's getting back into it. There was a kid, he's like, he looks like he's 12 or 15, like can't even drive. And there was this platform where you can create your own account, and he created an account and made 20, 30 grand and sold it right away, like live. So it's insane.
God bless him. Like, I'm doing something wrong. I'm just telling jokes. And that's the thing with popularity. Like I'll open for some big acts, like names that aren't that strong on stage. Right. And I'll crush the shot, like 25 in front of them, almost bury them. Right. And then they get up there and it's mediocre. And that's not even bragging. That's just what the facts are. I've been at stand up, all my life. Maybe they just started, they were famous. Right. And so they're working out an act. Yeah. And then they get off, and it's just like they're taking all the pictures. Not one.
Well, they get a pass.
Wants a picture with me. Like they're just like, excuse me, is that the guy? I'm like, dude, what? You were funny. Yeah. Oh, you were funny too. Yeah. But that's the thing with fan. It doesn't matter.
Well, I've used this as an example. Is that American Idol? Like the top 10 people that make American Idol, I don't know if it's 10 or 12, I forget what it is, whether that first group that makes it, they're all amazing. Yeah. Every one of them that gets out, you're like, amazing, amazing, amazing. And then in the end, one gets it. And even then, that person, you might hear about them for the next year. And then most of the time, they're gone. Yeah, one or two have made it. But even then, and these other people that were there, like, you just never hear from them again. And you think they're all phenomenal. So there's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of amazing singers, comics, actors that they, like. It's just something. A lot of it, it's talent, but there's lots of talented people, but it's talent and it's luck, and it's being in it's that combination, and it just.
That's why you can't
grit.
You can't get upset. You can't get upset over it. Like I can't get upset opening for I had this. Well, I wasn't opening for him because I was opening for another comic, but a kid dropped in to do a spot, and he was like a magician.
16-year-old.
16-year-old, and he was on the spectrum. He was like, he had like autism or something. Because in the green room, I was like, hey, how you doing? He's like, nah, hi, how are you? And I'm like, this kid's going on stage?
This is going to be brutal.
Yeah, I'm like, he's doing magic?
Well, this is right before Carl's going to shoot his special, so he was trying to get a lot of time to work out his
trying to just, hey, can I just get
ready for his special? And it's like, this is so humbling.
Yeah, I'm shooting. And then this robot's going up there. So I introduced the kid. And his parents are there, like, and I'm gonna hammer in my special set, so I'm just banging out pussy, like I'm just like hammering, like I'm this poor kid, his parents are watching, then I'm this filthy animal's opening for him, and then I bring him up, and then he's like, he's all, hey, what? I'm like, where was that? And I wanted to get like when he got off, I wanted to be like. I didn't see that guy backstage. There was like nothing going on in there. And then he got us. It was weird how he turned it on. But that's the humbling thing. It's like now I just opened for that guy, the kid. And then like his mom took my number. It's like, and if he could ever get up in front of you, if you're headlining, can he? I'm thinking, no, I wouldn't put this guy in front of my crowd. Like this poor kid, like who shouldn't be. I mean. Not to,
but he did amazing.
It was ridiculous.
I thought you were. That's what I thought you were getting at.
No, he came out of of his shell on
stage. He came
out
of his shell.
But
that's all I was getting at. No, it was horrible. Oh, it wasn't even good magic.
I thought you were going to say he got up and he was amazing.
I would have been. I would have thought, yeah, if that was the case, I'd be like, well, I don't mind opening for him. Maybe I'll probably be opening for him next week. But no, it was ridiculous.
I think he got a pass because of his age. It's like, oh, well, that's cute.
And they were laughing. And then he berated him a little bit. It's just funny, like just how comedy works. And like, you never know who's you're opening for or whatever. Like some TikTok dude will come in. It's just got this huge following. It's just.
Social media will absolutely explode.
Humble you.
Have you seen... have you seen? Dax Flame is?
Humble.
Who's that?
Dax Flame.
He'll crush the show.
He's very.
And then someone will come up and say,
he probably is some type
it was
of
the
autistic or something.
He's going to be here.
But
Shoot, when is he here? It's like,
he wants to be like a stand-up comedian, or like his whole page is kind of turned into comedian. So and he is extremely awkward, and he'll go to these comedy clubs and get up there and tell these jokes, and I mean they are.
I think I've seen that guy.
He's got like long, kind of like auburn hair, curly, maybe like yay high, and
they're bad, corny.
They're
jokes.
bad, corny. But he's just so awkward. He's like a cult-like following on social media, and it's just awkward. It's like I'm thinking these guys like they go to these comedy clubs, and the people there, like if they don't know them, they probably think like this is absolutely horrible. But those same exact clips go viral online because they know this guy, they see him every day, and they've just grown to love his style,
love his stuff, his awkwardness,
and it's
which is not funny if you don't know him.
Yeah, if you don't know him, so it's like the actual experience there in the club, like probably like isn't very good.
It's horrible.
Yeah, but the virality of it online is, and
I've seen famous people that maybe got something happened with their acting career or whatever, and they come on stage and they're just trying to work out an act, and people want to see the character from the TV set.
Right.
And they get this guy fumbling through jokes, and it's like, so it's weird to see, because I'm like, at least I'm glad I'm not that trying to be something I'm not.
Yeah, at least at least Seinfeld gets to be Seinfeld on and off.
Yeah, and they have it lucky. They have it easier too. Like as a comic now, nobody knows who I am, so I walk up there. Now it's like everybody in the audience like make me laugh.
Trying to prove yourself.
Trying to prove myself. It doesn't matter, and you open for like a bigger comic, they get a pass.
Right.
They already know who this guy is.
Yeah.
So they're
ready to go.
They're ready.
And by the time he gets up there, what is it? The first, there's what, one or two guys?
Yes,
first?
opener and then the middle act.
Opener and the middle guy. Like they've prepared the audience for this guy.
Yeah.
By the time he starts getting laughed, because everybody's already in the mood to laugh. Now they're
But I've stood in the back and watched Carl on stage, and then the headliners standing back with me, and they're like agitated. They're like, get him off early. Like he's too good, and then he brings the energy so high that the headliner can't continue that. So it's like quick, get him off.
Like with you guys, like I played around a lot. Rent the room and kind of, but when I'm doing a 20-minute set, it's just boom, joke.
How long were you up there for?
Like I did like almost 50 with you guys.
Really?
Yeah, it seemed quicker, right?
Yeah, it seemed like 20. Yeah. If you just said 20 or 30 minutes, I'd be like,
right. Because that's good. That's fun. That then you're doing a good job. When it feels like, Jesus, how long have we been? 10 minutes.
Yeah.
What? This guy's got to get off.
Yeah. I thought the work in the room would be good. Was good. Sorry.
It is easier to do that, especially when there's a good room.
Right.
And that guy kicked it off with the $30,000.
Yeah. The guy he immediately went into.
Yeah.
You don't want to call somebody a snitch, get punched.
Like
Johnny Mitchell.
Johnny Mitchell.
Yeah, you know that
Johnny
is?
Mitchell.
No.
Johnny Mitchell is a guy that has a huge YouTube? Sorry, what am I saying?
His podcast very similar to this.
TikTok. He's probably got everything. I think I only know, but he's been on the program and he's been interviewed me. But he's actually got a funny story. It's changed, which is was probably the only issue I have with him. He's very nice, and he's one of those guys that you want to dislike, being kind of in the professional and having some issues. there, and then you want to dislike him, and then he came here, and he was so fucking charming. It was irritating. Do you know what I'm saying? Where you're just like, oh, you're so charming.
I wanted to hate you.
Don't do that. I want to hate you. And just
did
funny.
you just get the door for me?
What did he just get the door? Immediately came in. He compliments my wife. Tells me I watch all your stuff, bro. I'm a huge fan. You're like, stop it. Yeah. He was great. Came on, did the podcast, but he was basically the issue is that initially he was basically kind of like a low level. And this is funny because it may have changed, whatever, it may have evolved. But when he got out of prison, initially he came out and he said that he had just gotten out of prison, and he went in for a few years, and he was selling some grass and got caught and went to prison, did a few years and got out, and that was it. But then over the years, and then he started doing comedy. Well, over the years, he became a big time dealer with the cartel. That they got him for something minor, and he went to prison. So it's like, your story has evolved quite a bit. But whatever, put that aside,
Think he's embellishing?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, but here's the problem is, once again, I like him. I kind of like him. You kind of root for him, right? Yeah. And so I mean, that's kind of what's just out there on the internet. But I think he's probably quashed a lot of, and then anytime you talk to a guy who's a real guy who's really dealt in drugs and cartel with the cartel and everything, they're like, yeah, half of what he's saying doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But regardless, he has a massive following, and then once again, he's a comedian and he's extremely funny, and so and on top of that, very smart and has a massive platform right now. But here's why that happened, and everybody's like, oh, because he's amazing. Well, wait a minute, he is amazing. He's, like I said, he's all those things. I'm not taking any of that away from him. I think probably what happened was he did go to prison because he was selling grass, not at the level he was selling that he says he is now, but that's neither here nor there. Went to prison, but while he was in prison, he started doing comedy because guys were like, bro, you're funny. You should do comedy. And he actually did comedy in prison, which is funny because you go to prison and people don't realize, you go to prison, it's its own world. You're trapped there inside these gates, but there's 1,800 people or 2,000 or 3,000 inmates in there, and you all live together. So it's its own community. Yeah. So you do have talent contests. There's bands. Guys play. There's football teams. Yeah. There's amazing guitar players, and there's all these things that are happening to keep yourself entertained. So he started doing comedy, and he did comedy and did really well at it. He said, but my thing is, he's like, I didn't know if it was just because I'm in here that I'm funny. Am I funny outside? Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, you got to be a comic. So he got out and he started doing comedy. And he got up. And so there was a video of him where he got up and he's doing comedy at a comedy club. And a guy in the crowd, he's working the crowd, right? Super smart guy. What did you call it? Riffing?
Yeah, riff. Improv.
Yeah,
riff.
Yeah. He's bam, bam, bam. And a Mexican guy is there. And this is what kills me. This is why I know you were never in a serious prison. Because if you were really in a pen, you would have never thought to say this. The guy says something, goes, oh, you went to prison for what? Oh, how much were you moving? He has a conversation with him, like what you were doing. And the guy said, I went for like a year or two or something. He said a smaller sentence. He goes, oh, you must have snitched on somebody. Okay, I don't know what you're thinking, but if you were in a penitentiary and you don't even joke, about it. The way guys out here will be like, oh, bitch, you're crazy. You don't even say that ever. There's certain things you don't say that. Don't joke about that. Don't use that word. Don't.
Which level were you in?
I mean, I was at a medium for 3 years, and then I did 9 years in a low security prison, and I was in the U.S. Marshals for 1 year, so his total is just shy of 13. But so Johnny ends up saying, oh, well, you must have snitched. This guy attacks him. I mean, comes up on stage, runs up there, like tackles him, throws him on there. Like they get into a full, it goes off film. And Johnny's like, what people don't realize, like I started getting the better of him. Like, stop it, bro. That guy's like 5'6". You're 6'4". He threw you off the stage. Like he attacked you.
And this is online.
This is all, yeah. It's like the video is funny, but you don't, like if you had really been in a real serious prison, even now, like I never say, guys are like, oh, bitch, you're crazy. I never say that.
You can't say bitch.
I wouldn't say that to somebody. Yeah. It's extremely disrespectful.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't accuse someone of that. I certainly, if you've been in prison, I wouldn't accuse someone of that. I wouldn't say that on the street. I wouldn't. So the fact that, you got it?
3.9 million views.
And that's what made them.
That's a 6-minute video. That's not even a short. That's a 6-minute video.
Oh, I'll bet you people have reposted over and over again. I'll bet you it's got 50 million
Is
views.
That what made it big and popular?
I mean, it helps. It definitely
helps. Here's the thing, though. After that, so I saw that video. 6 months later, I started seeing him on doing podcasts. Here's the thing, is that because he is a comedian, he has access to other comedians, right? You can get to a position where you can meet these guys. Yeah. And most of probably out of, let's say, the top 30 best ranked YouTube podcasts right now, probably 20 of them are run by comedians.
Yeah.
They're all massive, massive podcasts.
Yeah.
The guys are funny. They bring guys on. They have great conversations. They laugh and joke all the time. They're super, they're very entertaining. So he had the ability to get himself on all of these major platforms. And they would ask him about his story. He can tell his story. He tells a great story.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Tall, thin, good-looking guy. He's got what?
What's his name again?
Johnny Mitchell.
It's called The Connect with Johnny Mitchell. Yeah. He's got over 1 million. Let me see. That YouTube clip, by the way, on his channel is most popular shorts. Now, this is most popular shorts, 27 million and 7 million views.
Wow. And he said he was in maximum security?
I'm pretty sure he says a few different ones, but one of them I believe is he was at a maximum security prison. And it was like I always hate when he says it. I'm like, just lost credibility. He says like maximum security, the worst prison in Idaho. It's like Idaho
1.2.
Yeah, are they known for bad prisons?
Yeah.
Or I forget what state it was, but it's funny.
Some people are good talkers, man.
Yeah,
and it's
1.2 million subscribers on YouTube.
1.2 million. And by the way, he started probably. When did he start that channel?
Let me see.
I'm gonna say 2 years. I mean,
2 years.
2 years.
Yep.
He blew up. I mean, just
what does he interview on his channel?
Other criminals.
Yeah, more so smugglers, a little more hardcore, I would say, than what we do.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
More like prison.
Interesting.
He'll interview guys about, and they'll talk more about like being in prison and more hardcore stuff, murders, and he'll I don't interview. I don't know. Have I interviewed anybody that's like a
murderer?
I don't think so.
I murdered
I was
stage
talking to my dad the other day, and my dad was like, he's like, he's like, who you need to interview? He's like, you need to interview this guy who like murdered somebody, just got out of prison. I'm like, we don't really.
Yeah. We're still iffy about this guy.
Yeah.
He just got out.
Maybe a StreamYard.
Yeah.
We'll see. I was like, well, did he do it? I was like, that's not really the type of guy we want to have on the show.
Did you see when Joe Rogan interviewed the guy and his lawyer, and they got him out after being in prison for like 20 years or something, got him out, and then like a couple months later killed his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen Rogan tell the story.
Yeah, and then killed his wife, So 2 months after. So explaining how he was rehabilitated and all that.
Well, we've had a couple guys that were like, they're telling their story, they give their story, and Matt, at the end, Matt's like, oh wow, it's like, yeah, when was this? They're like, 4 months ago.
Yeah.
But I'm completely rehabilitated.
So you just got out of prison? I've been like 2 months. Yeah.
I drove here from the skull.
The ankle monitor. My God. Yeah.
You must see a lot of what was? Do you think you've like had somebody like crazy?
Oh, we've definitely had.
Yeah.
But telling the truth or just kind of like.
There's some interviews. I'll let Matt tell us whatever he's got to say. There's some interviews where these people are going on, and I just start panning the camera to Matt because he's just like.
Because my facial expressions, I'm like.
Because I'm like, I know,
and I'll look
the audience is going to be feeling exactly what Matt is feeling.
They're
just
like bullshit.
Well, sometimes I don't know about bullshit because if like I'm not here, I always love these guys that get upset. They're like, "You shouldn't give this guy a platform." Wait a second. The guy came on. He told his story. He sent me some paperwork. There was an article.
Right.
I don't know if he stole $40 million like he's saying, or if it was the $2 million in the article. But he's now saying that was the amount was this and that. Like not doing 5 hours of research for an hour and a half podcast. Like, what are you doing? We're doing 5 and 6 of these a week. So he gets an opportunity to tell his story. You know, we could, and even if halfway through the story, I start thinking, that's bullshit. You know, I'm not here to judge you and tell you, nah, bro, that's bullshit. I don't think so. You know how many times I've had a guy sit here and tell me, where they'll go, you know, yeah, I got caught with, 2 keys of brown. And, so I had a really good lawyer, bro. Like I got 3 years. And I'm thinking, and I'm like in federal prison. And they're like, yeah, no, it was a federal case. I'm like, oh, okay. But I'm sitting there thinking, the mandatory minimum's 10 years. Like you should be doing a minimum of a 10, maybe 20. You got 3?
Yeah.
Like,
what do you, OJ?
Yeah, well, he obviously he cooperated against his co-defendants. You know what I'm saying? So and I don't have a problem with. Listen, I cooperated. I got 26. I did 13. Of course, I cooperated. I got 26. I'm a white collar criminal. Yeah. I can't do 26 years.
No,
I don't care who's got. I'll cut off everybody's head.
I don't know how you did 13.
It was they made me do it.
But
how'd you do it?
Is it like country club prison?
No,
like they
say,
but
it wasn't.
So like the good fellows when they're slicing garlic in the room. No, you can't cook your own food.
No, some people do. You can't, but you can do that in the pen. Oh, you can do that anywhere. But yeah, it was. I
couldn't go to prison.
No, you could. You'd be. You're actually in good shape.
Yeah, I'd have to fake it.
Bro, there was way more bass in my voice when I was in prison. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. What's up? Hey, let me get some of that. Let me get some of that. Oh yeah. That was a totally different person.
You gotta be dude.
What? Who you think you're talking? No, man, I'm just joking. I know. No, we could turn the channel whatever you want to turn it to. I was just. I've had those conversations where I stood up. No, we're watching Walking Dead tonight. I don't give a fuck. I'll take that TV to the fucking. They're like, sit down, Cox. Sit down. We're gonna let you watch it because you did a little show. But nobody's really scared of you. Everybody had cool nicknames in prison. They had their guys, Wee Wee and Pookie and Big John and they got these kind of these Hulk and 6 because he's 6 foot tall or 20 or no, what was the one guy 21. They got 21. Why do they call you 21? Because the 21 bodies on my case. That's why. Oh, bro, I'm just fucking around. I was just wondering.
They got numbers.
I tried to push chainsaw.
Oh, okay, nice.
It never took.
Not even.
No,
like, well, I cut wood.
No, guys.
I was like,
guys are like,
I used to work in the forestry industry.
Yeah. Maybe paper cut, Cox. Maybe paper cut. You're not dangerous. That chainsaw's a dangerous guy.
Butter knife.
Yeah.
Would butter knife work?
Guys, we're gonna go with Cox or maybe Mr. Cox.
Can we not use Cox in prison?
Cutie Cox.
Yeah, cutie.
What was our
cutie Cox?
It was that Wade.
No, it was someone here to drop off mail for John Boziak. I was like, oh, he don't live here.
Oh, no, he don't live here.
We should have interviewed him.
Lives in Thailand.
Come on. Yeah. Are you up and up in this job?
What is that code for?
This is my old roommate who's dodging child support.
Oh, no
shit. And we get all the time. They're like, hi, John Boziak. I'm like, no. Can you sign here? Doesn't live here. Doesn't live here. That's what I've always been told to say. But now he moved to Thailand.
Oh, wow.
Good for him.
They're never getting it.
No.
They're never getting it.
He's still coming. They're coming to Tampa?
Yeah, we missed an opportunity with a podcast with him.
Yeah.
Because we did a podcast before he left, and we just did like, oh, why are you leaving? And we're just like, oh, just to try experience something new. But we should have done it. We should have done it. I'm leaving. They're on my ass.
They're all over
me.
Out of here. You have no idea.
And this is just for child support?
Oh yeah, but it's not like one. This isn't one kid. Like,
oh really?
This is a guy he's been working on like a football team. Like
no
he's
shit.
He's set up franchise.
Now he's going to start to Thailand to start a new colony.
Yeah, there was just some guy with some paperwork, and I was just like, yeah, he don't live here. He's like, I was like, sorry, we're filming a podcast, and just kind of shut the door.
Yeah.
But you gotta get your eye thing fixed. I can't tell what I'm looking through the little peephole, and I can't really tell.
Oh, is it not
it's just like scratch or something.
So that just happened?
Yeah. I mean, I thought it might have been a guest, like because we have a guest later this afternoon. It's like, who might be?
Dude, we should have interviewed the guy.
I mean, okay. Well, when Boziak here's a funny story. When Boziak was here, we're doing a podcast. Matt and him are doing a podcast. Loud knock on the door. Doorbell rings. Next thing you know, you just see in the camera him get up and dart off.
Yeah, he bolts. I got him to go check he's out the back.
And what happens if the guy finds him?
But they just serve him. They're going to make him take a DNA test.
Oh, because if he gets served, he's done.
Then what happens is like if you don't do the DNA test, now you've been served. Right now he can say, I didn't even know this happened. I've never been served. Okay. Once you get served, they can say, and they can do stuff like they can cancel your driver's license. They can start making, they can put an arrest warrant out. Like you're supposed to go take a DNA test and you didn't. Cancel his driver's license, put a warrant out for him. Like they're going to get it.
So was he being like chased at Walmart and stuff like that?
No,
like
they're just like
they're not that aggressive. Because I saw somebody get served like at a funeral.
No,
on TV.
I've seen people get served. Like people,
like in the most like the hardest times, the guy's grieving and here.
I know he's going to be there. Look, tough. You should have taken care of it. Like I got no sympathy for you. Should have taken care of it. You knew it was coming.
Yeah.
What's funny is one time I got. I either got a knock at the door for him, open the door, and there's 2 cops standing there. And I open the door, and they go, John Bozique, and I go, no. They go, does he live here? I said, no.
It's good.
And I'm sitting there looking at him, and listen, I'm on federal probation.
Oh, nice.
Is your heart pounding?
He's not supposed to be living here. My probation officer, actually, when she came to check out the house and walked around the whole house, and walked into his room, she's like, whose room is this? And I said, this is my wife's daughter. She comes and stays here. She's got a room. So one of her daughters was staying here, and the other one, there was another room, which was Boziak's. And I said, this is her other daughter. She doesn't stay here a lot, but she does have a room here. And she's like, oh, okay. Turned around, walks out. I'm like, wow. And so I'm keep in mind, he has a felony conviction. I'm not allowed to be around other felons. Now, granted, I'm doing the podcast, but they're allowing me to do this, but he certainly can't live here. So that's one thing. So I'm already on thin ice. Then the door gets knocked. You can put this in here too. I'm okay now.
He's in Thailand.
I was just making a note to take this out.
No, this is fine. So one day I get a knock and then 2 cops are like, and I'm like, they're like, John Bozique? And I'm like, no. They're like, does he live here? I'm like, no. And the cops, they look at each other and they go, he's not in trouble. This is a welfare check. And they said, a woman called for him saying she hasn't heard. She's been trying to get in touch with him and can't get in touch with him. And I go, oh, John Boziak. And they go, yes, John Boziak. I said, yes, he does live here. And I said, who called? And they named. I said, okay, yeah, hold on. I call him on speaker and I go, hey, your crazy ex-girlfriend just did a welfare check because he's not responding to her call. And he goes, that crazy fuck. And he starts screaming. I go, yeah, the cops are here. They went, he goes, yeah, it's me. And they go, can you give us your date of birth? He's like, yeah. He says, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, okay, just had to check. And then they turn around. But I'm sitting there while I said that. As soon as I said, no, I said, who? I thought, did you just lie to law enforcement while on probation? And luckily they said he's not in trouble. And I was like, okay, yes. I was like, thank God you gave me the opportunity to come clean. Because I was sitting here thinking, my wife will kill me if I let them leave without correcting that.
Yeah.
She'll be like, what are you doing? Like, you don't know this guy.
When did
Nothing.
you get
You
divorced?
better clean that up.
When did you get divorced?
No, I'm talking about my new wife.
Oh,
that was
new wife.
My old wife. That was 25 years ago.
Oh, okay.
No, my new wife, which is funny because when I met you, if you had gone down the thing and you'd been like, oh, who's this? I'd be like, oh, my wife. Oh, where'd you meet? Halfway House. She did 5 years for an ice conspiracy.
Can we go back? Come to the show tonight?
You would have been like, what is happening? This is insane. And we're friends with the FBI agent and his wife.
Oh, my God. That's
nuts.
gold. That's nuts.
Yeah.
And that was like true love, or you just had something in common right away? Like, how do you even approach somebody like that?
Well, like when I got to the halfway house, like there were like 3 things I needed, right? And I was like, so the first thing I did was I luckily had just gotten I'd optioned, one of the options came due and I got a check. I got like $7,000. So first thing I needed was I needed a car. So I got that check and I went and bought a car. And, and then I needed a job. So I called a buddy of mine who owns a gym. And I said, hey, man, I need a job. He said, oh, I'll give you a job. I said, okay. And then I remember I needed a girlfriend, and I looked around the halfway house. I said, I'll take that one. Yeah. I tell her, she gets furious.
She's like, the money left over, I can buy you a steak.
She gets.
Yeah, that's great.
What's funny about her is like she didn't even want to date me. Like, because keep in mind, she's
because you're a criminal.
No, she's dated nothing but criminals.
Wait a second.
Oh, listen, if you saw her, one arm's completely sleeved.
Oh, yeah.
Just did 5 years. way tougher than me. Grew up in you know where Okeechobee
What was her
is?
nickname?
You know where JB. You know where Okeechobee is?
Steel.
Yeah. She grew up in Okeechobee.
Oh yeah.
So it's like Okeechobee's known for like dairies and like meth.
Yeah.
So you know,
sure.
she didn't work at the dairy.
Right.
So met her. It's like she was. Let me give you an example. Her first husband, Johnny Buck. Johnny Buck. Yeah. Oh, listen, she knows guys named Skeeter.
Yeah.
You know, Johnny Buck, Skeeter. You know, they got these names that you're like, oh my god, this is straight out of casting of. Yeah. You know,
Deliverance.
Deliverance. But so they ran a hog hunting tour guide service for 6 years, where she took grown men out, groups of men out, and hunted down wild hogs and killed them, skinned them, gutted them, cut up the steak, packed it in styrofoam, and let them leave with their hog. That's what they did for 6 years.
Yeah, that's hardcore.
This is a tough chick.
Yeah.
After she got out of the halfway house, she became a marine mechanic. And right now, she is in class to take the the U.S. Coast Guard captain's license, to get her license as a captain, so she can do airboat tours.
Oh wow!
And she works for a yacht management company, so she can also be a captain on yachts. Wow. This is like. Yeah. Wow. She's like serious.
That's pretty cool.
She's the man of the house. Like when the landlord says, "Hey, can you check
my podcast?
Check the water sprinkler system?" I'm like, that'd be an assignment for Jess. Let me forward this. And I'm like, he keeps sending me stuff. Hey, can you check the alarm system? I got a notification. It went down. I'm like, yeah, I don't know why you keep asking me these things.
Right. Of course. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you asking.
Keeping me in the loop.
Yeah. You know, I'm not changing the tire. If that's what you're trying to tell me.
What's the comedian? He walks on stage. He's a little chubby, blonde hair. He does the jokes about his mom, about his wife. He's always talking about his wife.
Jim Gaffigan?
Yeah. Is that? He does
the clean stuff?
Yeah. It's very clean, but he does a skit where he's like, the plumber was at my house, and you know, so I walk by and he stops me and he starts talking to me about, you know, the water heater. And I'm like, you know, I don't even know if we have a water heater. And he's like, but we would like to buy one from you if you're selling. He's like, I don't know. I mean, everything he says about his role in the household resonates with me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel you, bro.
Yeah, change the light bulb goes out, you get a new lamp.
I'll come on a Saturday or something. I'll walk out. Jess will walk in and she's got like some grease on her and stuff, and her blue jeans, her hat, and her cowboy boots. And I'll be like, what's going on? She's like, I'm just changing my oil. Of course. Of course you are.
We have an oil thing out there. We can do that.
Or she's like, hey, I'm going to my dad's tomorrow. Is that okay? I'm like, yeah. What's going on? Well, his brakes are out, and so I'm gonna go there. I just got the pads, and so I'm gonna go.
Yeah, we're going to our neighbor's house. They have a nuisance alligator.
Listen,
I'm just gonna get rid of it.
She changed my neighbor's battery. The old guy next door, his car wouldn't start. She's over there changing his battery. I got it. And I'm like,
that's great. Right.
Did you want to help? No.
I know all these dudes are coming over. Hey, Matt, is your wife home?
Yeah, exactly.
No? All right. I got to take it to the shop.
Yeah, she's up. So if you'd focused in on her a little bit,
man,
dude, how did it would have been.
You know, I tried to get to everybody. I guess I ran out of time. Yeah. I should have got that. I missed the juicy part. I thought that dude was long. I let him go. I don't normally let him just talk but I was like, yeah.
What was the story? What was this guy? This is talking about the gambling guy?
Yeah.
So what did he say? Like what happened?
Man.
I mean, I can remember.
Yeah. You were good at this.
But I mean,
his thing all over the place.
He just was kind of working the room. It's like, oh, what do you do? And he said, oh, what do you do? Like he got the guys down.
Talking about single. I think it's single people. And he's like, I just broke up with my girl.
Yeah. And he said, oh, how single? He was like, oh, a week, 2 weeks, whatever. He's like, oh,
Christmas Eve.
Yeah. Oh, what happened? He said, well, she lost $30,000 gambling. But the story comes out
on penny slots,
right? On a cruise ship, right? But the story came out that a couple weeks beforehand they had been gambling, and he said, I don't gamble much. She does, and she hit a bunch of jackpots in a row and had won a chunk of money. Then she went on a cruise
with a dude, right?
No, I don't think that wasn't the other dude. I just think she went on a cruise with some friends, and she lost $30,000. Came home, said, I got robbed and someone stole my credit card and they ran up a bunch of debt and I don't have money to pay my rent. Can I borrow a couple $1,000s from you? And he goes, sure. Show me your credit card. Show me where they ran up these debts. Show me show me all the evidence and I'll lend you the money. She got into a huge fight with him and then he goes, and we broke up. No, they didn't break up. She left. He said the next day or two they were talking and she said, he found out, or she told him, he had borrowed $3,000 or $4,000 from another man. And he said, and right then I said, we're done. Yeah. So, you know,
good for you, man.
Right.
Set boundaries.
That's what came out, but it was just
therapy session.
It was a therapy. He was like, I'm like, does everybody feel? I think I said that to everybody. We all come out of here feeling good about we're releasing a lot of things.
Yeah, you were.
Because that's what everybody was giving. Like,
guys are like, yeah. Oh no. And remember, the first woman was like yelled at. Did she say something about him?
Yeah, the first girl's like, oh, you're an asshole for breaking up with her.
And then he goes, well, wait a minute, we don't know the story. Yeah. What happened?
And then he tells the story, and then she's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, you changed your tune.
Carl was like, yeah, how do you feel now?
Yeah.
How do you feel now?
This guy's a hero.
It was good.
Yeah, that was funny stuff.
Yeah, then he went to Tom. Yeah. And you can imagine he's thinking, I'm going to be able to play around with Tom. And Tom, he's like,
Tom
what do you
was
do?
like, FBI. What, private detective, FBI. I'm like,
yeah.
I guess we're done talking.
Yeah.
I felt investigated. Definitely. But I had talked to his son. Yeah. You know, and his son was cool because he was like, I'm a biologist. Yeah. But I want to jump out. I'm like, what do you want to do with that? Jump out of planes. I'm like, that's not even just in the same area. Yeah. I'm like, Dad, do you know about this? You're paying all this money for college. And then I see on his page, actor. Yeah.
He was playing
I just told you I made a movie. You come up and go, hey, you got anything coming up? Maybe I can jump on.
Was the other one the chick she had a degree in psychology, and then you
want to be a life coach.
Yeah. So he goes, doesn't that suck now? Because now you could just be a life coach. She's like, yeah, I know.
And she knew.
That's great. That's awesome.
You can see it in her face, like, these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You just go on social media, build yourself up a little following, and you can start.
And some catchy catchphrases, like some stupid quotes. Today's going to be a good day.
I've had multiple guys on here that's what they do now. Like they're like life coaches. So there's Luke, but Luke successfully runs multiple car lots and has several different businesses. So he's turned himself into he went to prison. He was addicted to opiates, robbed a bank. He's like 6'2", massive, walks into the place with the mask and says, I think we all know why I'm here.
Whoa. Oh,
that's great.
Put the money in the bag. And they all jumps in his car, leaves. And it's funny, the description was so spot on. His father calls him that night and says, you want to tell me something? He goes, no, why? What? And he goes, did you rob a bank today? He goes, why? Why would you say that? He goes, there's a 6'4", 6'2" guy with a massive. He said that jumped into a car and left. Doesn't your girlfriend have a Pontiac? You know, he's like, whatever it was. He's like, don't know what you're talking about. He's like, yeah, well, I'm just letting you know they may be looking.
It said "just married" sign on it. Like, what are you doing? How much time did he do for that?
I think he did like 4 years or something.
That's it for armed robbery?
Well, I don't know. Was he armed or maybe it was 6? I don't. It wasn't that. It's not that bad. Robbing banks is not that bad. As long as you don't. Well, I don't think he. I forget the exact scenario, but he didn't. It wasn't that bad. Like if you rob a gun,
right?
Must have been a note, was it?
Maybe it was a note.
Yeah, maybe.
He just walked in and acted like he had a gun or something. I don't know. But so if you rob a bank with a gun, like if you walked in right now with a gun, you'd probably get 4 or 5 years, maybe more. Now, if you brandished the gun and scared people, or if you fired it, you're getting probably 10 or 15. But if you just kind of showed them the gun, or if you just walked up and said, "I have a weapon" or whatever. If you use a note, if you just use a note and you don't threaten anyone in the note, you're going to get 3 years.
I'd write a nice one, like a hey, excuse me.
I know a guy who robbed.
Sent it.
He robbed 3 banks. One of the banks he robbed it twice. He robbed 3 banks, one twice, and with a note. And all the note said was, "You're being robbed. Put the money. Give me all the money in the drawer. Immediately, nobody will get hurt." And so it wasn't directly threatening, really. And so they gave him like $2,500. I think they don't ever make any money. It's $2,500 to $1,500.
It's not even
maybe
worth it.
$3,000. He got the money left.
I'm going for the safe.
Oh yeah.
I'd be like, take me to your safe. That'd be in the note.
Yeah, well,
read it.
You're getting a lot.
They give me the drawer. I'd be like, read the note. There's more on that note.
Listen, I love the guys
in the PS.
I love the guys that say, "Give me the money," and they're like, "No."
She's like, "It's in the PS. Let's go to the bank." Can you see the final?
There's lots of people,
and they're like, "No."
Yeah, they're like, "No, I'm not going to do that." And they'll actually struggle.
I would pull out another piece of paper, write another note. Like, I'm serious.
And then these guys take off on the run, or the girls will chase. I'm like, there's some funny ones.
Really?
Man.
Oh yeah. So, but listen, my favorite one is the college kid that I was locked up with. It was in college. He robbed like the bank on campus, like the credit union or something. He goes in with a BB. He and another guy go in with a BB gun, with BB guns, and they go, get on the ground. And several people kind of hunched, but weren't really getting down. And the one kid shoots the BB gun. Ding. And it ricochets and hits somebody in the leg, hits a woman in the leg. Boom. And she goes, I'm hit. And she falls and on the ground. He's like, listen, I swear to you, it didn't even break the skin. Like it literally, there was the cops took 10 photos of different angles to try and make it look horrible. He's like, it's clearly a BB. It didn't break the skin. But he said, we immediately got like, she screams, like you hear the, and I'm hit. And he was like, oh God. And they ran. They don't even get the money. They take off on the run. He goes home, goes immediately to the dorm where he's staying, shaves his head.
Oh, geez.
So he's sitting there. I'm shaving my head. I'm bleeding. My roommate walks in. You can hear sirens. He's like, hey, man, did you just hear that somebody robbed the bank? And he's like, no. He's like, why are you shaving your head? So,
did they get caught?
They, of course, within a day. Like the next day, they grab him.
Like, so why'd you shave your head?
What?
You had hair yesterday.
So
that's great.
He gets locked, and he's like, I'm like, he's like, when we're running, he said, why'd you shoot the BB gun? He's like, oh no, bro, I just thought I was trying to make a point. He's like, it's a BB gun.
Right.
They weren't listening.
Nobody moved.
Shooting the BB gun wasn't gonna. Stupid.
It's just coming on your head. Tink, ah. Tink, tink.
He said he used to always joke the fact that she screamed, I'm hit.
Oh yeah.
And then she
was that just a
fell.
patron? That wasn't even the teller?
No, it was just some woman in the line. Like, beep, beep, bum.
I'm bleeding out.
Yeah.
Relax, this lady. Everybody's so dramatic.
Get a tourniquet.
I'm not going to make it. Tell my family I love them.
Get up, Marge.
Stand up.
Betty,
Get up, Marge.
Betty, get up.
Dude, I picture that dude just... Dude, we got to go on the lam.
You can hear them.
That'd be you.
That'd be me.
Totally.
I'd be a paranoid.
Yeah.
That's like you were talking, like you see a cop behind you. Me too. I'm like, or at the airport.
They know.
I don't. Fuck. Why is that dog looking at me? And I don't even have drugs on me. Like I don't even do drugs. I'm like, that fucking dog's eyeing me.
Listen.
What if somebody packed my bag?
They know I have
Like,
more
they
than
know.
4 ounces of
Did you ever see
liquid.
the Sam Kinison? Remember Sam Kinison?
Yeah, I remember Sam.
Where he had a whole skit about the girlfriend. He cheats on his girlfriend. He's like, he cheated on her. And then I'm like, look, I know it's horrible. I'm leaving. And then she's like, no, don't leave. And she hugs me and she's crying. And I thought, my God, what an amazing woman. He goes, what I didn't hear when she was sobbing was, don't leave yet. I haven't gotten you back. And he goes, a week later, I go to a comedy club and she packs her bag and she puts a loaded 38 in there, or 22. And he said, I'm going through, and all of a sudden you hear beep, 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 beep. And I'm standing there looking around. All of a sudden you hear somebody go, he's got a gun. And I thought, oh my God, someone's trying to get a gun through here. I'm about to see some shit. And he's like, I'm looking around. I start realizing they're coming towards me. He said, as they're coming towards me with their weapons, I think, that bitch.
That's great. I wonder if that's probably true. It's probably.
He was insane. He had a crazy
He was the
life.
best.
He
back
was.
Then. Yeah, I heard he did like the one album or whatever, and then when he started getting really famous, it wasn't as good.
Oh yeah, well,
stuff.
That you use a lot of some of their best.
Your best stuff, and plus you're hungry.
Yeah,
you're on the grind, and then when you get famous, it's like, well, now what's the struggle?
Right.
How you gonna write good bits?
All good.
That's why I'm funny, because I've been struggling the whole career. Like that's why I'm constantly coming up with good shit.
It's funny because somebody was talking about this was probably a couple of years ago. Somebody was talking to me like, well, how do you know, these guys, they have good stories. What do you look for? I'm like, I mean, I look for if they can tell their story, right? Like you could have stole $200 million in an amazing Ponzi scheme, but you can't tell your story. You could have had all the media. It could be phenomenal, but you just can't tell it. Yeah. It's no good. And you can have a crackhead that's been in 4 car chases with the police and has been in and out of jail 20 times over the last 20 years, but he can tell a story.
Yeah.
And they're hilarious.
And engaging.
Like, I'd rather have that guy. But what I've noticed is that, I mean, there's more to this, but I used to always say, like, losers have the best story. Because it's some guy who went to high school, graduated, went to college, met a girl, married her, got the job he wanted right out of college. They had a kid. They got 2 kids. He teaches Little League right now. Like, great guy. That is the guy that is the great American success story. Yeah. That's the middle class. He runs this country. God bless him. He doesn't have a story. Yeah.
No, lives in a cul-de-sac. Yeah. His wife's cheating on him. Yeah, like, that's just like, what's his story?
Like, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but you have to have been through some shit. You have to have been evicted. You have to have some domestic violence in there.
Yeah. You gotta beat your wife if you want a good story.
If
you want to have a good story,
you gotta have your car blow up on you. It doesn't have to be crime, but you have to have gone through. You have to have an alcohol problem.
But exactly.
You meet a addict.
Yeah, dude.
We can talk.
Dude, I'm sober 11 years. I got stories, bro. Yeah. I was a train wreck. I was a couple bottles a day for legit.
Really?
Oh, hell yeah.
See, those are probably the more interesting stuff.
I did cruise ships for 10 years. I was working as a comic on a cruise ship. I did Carnival for 10 years. I was fucking lost. It was soul crushing.
We should have just started with your story.
I mean, this is what I think. It's been flowing so good. I think I'm just gonna have you do a little intro, like, hey, me and Tom Simon, we're at a comedy club. Oh, okay. And then we brought do a little intro, and then I'll just start it off when they ask you, because I think it's interesting for the audience. I think it's always interesting for the audience to see someone who doesn't know Matt's story realize the story,
especially a comic. We just met.
I'll send you a podcast. It's funny because I always think the best podcast I did was probably Danny's or Soft White Underbelly. Mm-hmm. But everybody else says. So I did. Do you know who Lex Friedman is?
Yeah.
So I did Lex Friedman.
Oh, cool.
And it was
7 hours.
7 hours.
Oh my god.
No, it was actually. I think it's 6.5 now. I think it was like 7.5. He trimmed it down to 6.5.
Whoa.
It's one of the longest podcasts he's ever done. And I wouldn't have been that long. I was ready to go and do my 2-hour bit. That's it. Wow. But instead, he just kept asking questions and asking questions, and I was like, and I kept, and during the break, I was like, bro, I can wrap this up. He goes, no, keep going. I want to go as long as I was like,
you're like, I'm gonna need a sandwich.
Is people watching 6 hours of content?
It was 11.1 million so far.
I mean, we have
1.1 million.
We have a 20-hour video on Matt's channel of him telling his story.
Wow.
20 hours. I mean, it's told over the course of 6 months, and it's got over 100,000 views.
Yeah,
it's good. They're probably just watching.
Oh yeah, they listen a little bit. It's truck drivers, they're forklift. Yeah. They might have a job where they can listen 6-7 hours a day.
If you're doing drywall for 8 hours, you just and you know.
I mean, there was a comment
like
on
your wife. She's doing when she's doing drywall.
Repainting the upstairs bedroom.
I mean,
one of the most liked comments on the last video was like, "Who else falls asleep to Matt Cox every night?"
Oh
yeah. There was people in the comment section.
I used to go to sleep to Forensics Files. Right. You want to hear like about death and.
I did a junket for this guy, my wife and I in somewhere in the Keys. What was it? Was it Key Largo? No, it was Key. I don't know, Biscayne. Anyway, one of the Keys down there. We went to this resort, and the guy that invited me to it kept introducing me as, "Listen, this is Matt Cox. I go to sleep to him every night." And and after about the third one, I said, "Bro, can you do me a favor? Could you
not say that? Yeah,
you're introducing like I'm Matt.
I just fall asleep.
Yeah, can you just say I listened to him, his podcast.
He might have met a soothing voice. Yes, old. What was his nickname?
Chainsaw.
I listen to old Chainsaw. What would you say?
Cutie Cox.
I used to know old Cutie Cox going to he was hardcore prison.
I do have a couple of questions real quick, which was one is are you from Florida?
Yeah, born and raised.
Oh, where?
Yeah, and Broward area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is Broward? No, that's Pasco.
That to me, that sounds like Miami.
Fort
It's
Lauderdale.
near Miami, right next to Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
was thinking
Broward.
Dade counties.
Yeah,
Miami.
Broward, Dade.
Okay,
Broward,
Dade. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
In my mind, anything south of Fort Pierce is Miami.
Straight out the trailer park.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not pulling any punches. I'm not hiding anything.
Listen, when I met my wife and I kept hitting on her, she was like, "I'm not dating you." She's like, "I make fun of guys like you." And she goes, "What am I fulfilling some kind of white trash fantasy you have?" And I was like, "Jesus!" And she was like hardcore,
I'm a little
like
appalled.
mean about
You're like,
it.
maybe.
I'm trying. Give me a chance. But I was gonna say I know I used to do Freedom of Information Acts when I would interview these guys and I'd want to get their criminal, and Dade Broward share a jail.
Oh, yeah.
The sheriff's department. It's like that Dade Broward
You
something.
familiar?
I think they share. So anyway, because
I
I
know
used to
cops.
Dade Broward.
Yeah.
So you were born down there, and you said you went to school.
Yeah, I went to marine biology in Nova Southeastern.
Why?
Did 5 years because I wanted to put pills in fish. Ultimately,
Why?
I didn't know why. Like now that I look back on it, well, I think it stemmed from when I was like a kid. I mean, I always wanted to just go play football, but for some reason I took like an academic scholarship. And then I think it stemmed from going to SeaWorld and stuff and watching like the mammal trainers entertained. They're riding these whales, and I always thought it was cool. And I was like, I want to do that. So I kind of wanted to do that. I wanted to be a marine mammal trainer. I guess I just wanted to kind of be an entertainer and pick up chicks. You know, I think that was it. I think it was like, so I could be like, I have a giant whale. I'd love to show you.
What?
And they're like, sure you do. No, I really have a giant whale. But I wanted to do that. So
Come back to my place.
yeah,
I'll show you
my giant whale. You know, I just
happened?
wanted that one line. I knew that they weren't using it. They're probably not using this. This is genius. So I was like, and then I sent away letters for them, and they only made like $8 an hour. I'm like, how do you live off? Like you can't even. They house you, I guess, but they.
And every once in a while, an orca will grab a hold of them and drag them around.
And exactly, and
Then they'll get some views.
But that's the thing. Blackfish. Did you see Blackfish?
TikTok.
Did you see Blackfish? The documentary Blackfish.
No, I've seen. I was incarcerated. It wasn't on the inmate movie channel, but
was it?
But I heard about it.
All the inmates are picketing. Free the whales.
But yeah,
It's
but
hard to watch. It's like really sad.
Yeah, no, it's really good. And I would have been on that documentary if I had gotten the job at SeaWorld, because they were all like disgruntled, but they were the same year that I sent away that I would have did it. Like they were all out just talking about the abuse of the whales.
That could have been your life.
Was the trainer that got dragged around?
Yeah.
Was she on it?
I remember
That's what I was
her.
talking about. Where they grab her by the and she couldn't get.
She died.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so that's what sparked this whole documentary.
Oh, okay.
So and then I was like, well, let me just go to. You know, I enjoyed Jacques Cousteau when I was like a kid. And I was like, well, let me just.
Colby has no idea who Jacques Cousteau is.
Jacques Cousteau is like a French.
What?
I was just thinking, I have no idea what that is.
He was like the big. I know. Sorry. I guess. Why would you know that? It's not like a big. He was like an explorer of the ocean.
Because
like a French guy.
when we grew up, there were 3 channels.
Yeah.
Maybe
He was on one of them.
You know,
Yeah.
and he was constantly. He built a whole habitat under the ocean and lived there.
Yeah.
They lived under the ocean. Like it was super cool.
And then did like things with sharks, and I just thought it was like the coolest thing you could possibly do in my mind back then.
Yeah.
And then when I got to college, it's like now you're basically in marine biology, you're basically pre-med. For like, so I'm not even seeing the ocean. I'm 3 years in. I'm like, when are we going to go to the ocean? Like, and we don't even go. So I dropped out. Like I think I had like 15, 20 credits left. And I was like, I don't want to do this. And I just like, after all the money, I'd rather just pay student loans and just fucking. So I just dropped out. And then I think a couple years later, it was like, I was doing a lot of like promotional stuff. I was modeling. And like, it's fucking horrible. Like, it was so gay. Like, you talk about, like, I was doing like some runway stuff. I wasn't like a chisel job. I was cut. I was still lean. I was, decent, but I wasn't a model, but I did it. But it was so like degrading and stupid. I'm like, what are we doing? And then I would always just crack jokes. And
I feel like this is like, what was his name? The guy, the wrestler that was trying to make me feel bad for him.
He's a local wrestler.
Yeah, there was a wrestler who also owned like a studio, and he actually they had a lot of the girls living in houses, and he was living there because they kept getting into fights and they were a train wreck. He's like, and these women, he's like, they're constantly throwing themselves at you. They're bored, and they're all. Yeah. He's like Johnny Walker. His name is Johnny. Oh, okay. He's like, and they're right.
He's trying to make it feel bad for him.
He's like, and it's every night. It's like, they're trying to, like, it's a game to try and sleep with me. He's like, and after a while, it's just like enough. Like, I'm sick of them, and I'm sitting there. I'm just like,
wait, this sounds nothing like that.
No,
wait a second.
No, it's just saying I was a model, and
I know it sounds.
It's so degrading. Oh,
no, it was gay. It was gay. Is what I meant to say. I don't know. I didn't want to expose it like
these women were looking at me. They didn't see me.
No, these women weren't looking at. That was the gay part. Like, it was like, I tried doing it for a little while, and I thought this was horrible. And then we were doing promotional stuff. Like, we work for Marlboro, go to these nightclubs late at night and pass out like Marlboro swag.
You got the good beard.
Yeah, well, I did that for the movie. I'll explain that later.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say I can't grow a beard like that. I can't grow a thick beard like that. No, I look like a homeless person. I have like patches that don't grow, or they're real thin. It's horrible.
It's because you're Cutie Cox. From prison. Cell Block 7.
Thank God you weren't there to give me that name. Yeah. That would have stuck. Cutie Cox would have stuck. That would have been horrible. There's quite a few big guys, lifers that were like, "How you doing?" And I was like,
so I was like, well, I don't know what to do with my life. And then my friend was saying, I'm gonna do stand up at this club, and I'm like, you're gonna do what? And I knew what comedy was, but I thought they were like unicorns back in the 90s. I'm like, how do you become a comic? You got to be in LA. You got to do whatever.
Right.
So he went up to do the open mic, and then he wrote jokes or whatever, but then backed out. Got nervous. Like, well, why are we here?
I mean, I could understand that. I'd be pretty nervous.
But he was gung ho, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be amazing. I can't wait to see you. And then he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, we were doing promotions. We were talking in front of people, doing all these things. So I'm like, I can do it. I'm like, I'll do it.
Give me those jokes you wrote.
Yeah. So no, basically I was like, well, what do you got to do? And he's like, write 3 minutes or whatever. And then, so I was like, oh, I'll do it the following week. And so I did it the following week, and it was a train wreck. And I was like, this is what I want to do. So I got booed off stage. Somebody threw something. After 3 months of modeling, I quit modeling.
I saved up enough to go full time.
I made nothing on it. No, I was bartending.
Right.
I was bartending at Rainforest Cafe. That's where my criminal history comes in. Since we're on a criminal podcast, I might as well spill the beans.
He what?
He wore a fanny pack.
Yeah, remember? Yeah. We're at Rainforest Cafe. He looked like a gay Panama Jack. It was horrendous, dude. It was so degrading. But I got to be behind the bar and stuff, and we would rob that place, blah.
Right. How?
Oh my God. Just because a lot of foreigners there paid in cash. Used to be like, $14.95, 2 jungle runners. And you'd be like, it's $14.95. You type it in on the computer, and then verbally, this is $14.95.
They give you a 20.
It's 20. And then you go to the fucking, remember in your mind to change to, here you go. Go back a little later. Oh, no, I took out $7.96. And next time you get it cash, then right into the bucket, as long as you do a transaction.
They have no idea that.
No idea. Like, I would literally, walk out of there with days where it'd be like, you didn't have any cash sales? Like, it's just all credit cards?
It's crazy.
Like, I don't know. Everybody's got credit cards these days.
Right.
So I'd walk out of there with nothing. But we were all doing it too. Just can't incriminate me, right?
Statute of limitations.
Isn't there doubled? Like, it's been
probably up to 20 for some years.
But I didn't feel bad because it was corporate. And I was doing them favors. Like, I was pouring the well when it should have been the better premium stuff. So I was saving them money.
Yeah. You don't have to explain to me.
No,
I'm with you.
Yeah, thank you. I was for her. Yeah. I was saving them money. And it's like, I didn't notice the value. But I worked with somebody. We had this one girl, who's a friend of mine, and but she would be like, she wouldn't even go to the register. Just go to start doing. I'm like, what are you doing? She's counting out change from her pocket. I'm like, at least pretend like we're putting it in there. Because, like, you're the worst criminal. I thought it was pretty good. I thought I had a future in this.
Right.
And everybody eventually got fired. Got caught, got fired, never got caught. They had me on a loophole. They called me in. They were like,
I'm sorry, can you stop at loophole?
Yeah.
Wade. I just realized Wade. Hold on. Landing. Okay.
Hold on.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Here, you slide.
Bro, I'm in the middle of a podcast. Period. Can you Uber here? Question mark. I have a buddy of mine who does a podcast that he came here and did a podcast before. We're gonna redo his podcast because it was 3 years ago. He actually, quick story is he and his wife are married. They got separated. She started dating somebody else. They ended up reconciling. The new boyfriend is upset about it when she breaks up with him. He's telling everybody he's a drunk and he's telling people, I'm gonna fucking kill this motherfucker. They have a mutual friend who gets the two of them together to kind of talk about, like, hey, calm down. The guy's like, I just want to ask him some questions. And he's like, okay. So talks to Wade, says, Wade, how long were you seeing her? I was really in love with her. Were you guys really and he's like, no, she does care about you. She did care about you. We have kids together. We reconciled. I understand where you're at. He's like, okay. Well, they were drinking, and then they went back to his place. His buddy had to go to work the next day, so whatever. So Wade agrees to drive this guy back. They go to his place real quick for some reason. I forget what the reason is. Go inside, and he's like, I'm going to drive him back to his place. I don't know if I have this exactly right, but they get to his kitchen, and in his kitchen, there's only one way in, one way out. They start talking. He's like, everything's fine. They get into they get into a slight argument. I'm sorry. They have a good time, whatever. He's like, I'm basically, it's like you can sleep here or I can just drive you home. He goes, yeah. We're about to leave. The guy goes, let me go to the bathroom. Goes in the bathroom, comes back, walks in the kitchen. He just looks completely different and looks at him and he goes, I'm going to fucking kill you. And he goes, what? He goes, and just attacks him. He goes, so I'm wedged up in the corner and I'm fighting with this fucking guy, ex-fucking military. Wade is not ex-military. Gets in this fight, kicking him off, pushing him back. The guy's punched him a bunch of times. Wade, at one point, he said, I get him like a bear hug, and I'm telling him like Wade's armed. He says a concealed weapons permit. He's like, bro, I will fucking shoot you if you fucking don't stop this. The guy's still struggling. Pushes him back. Guy comes in again, pushes him back again. And he's like, I can't get out because he's in front of the doorway. He goes, I pull my fucking gun. Boom, boom, boom. Shoots him twice. The guy's dead. When the authorities show up, they take him away. They take his report. And a couple days later, they charge Wade with manslaughter. No, with murder, with killing him. And Wade ends up He goes to jail. He bonds out right away. Hires an attorney. Spends his entire 401k on this attorney and forensic everything, and it takes about 2 years before they eventually drop the case. They go, okay, we're going to drop it. The fact that this guy attacked him in his own house and he executed, like the fact that they even charged him is ridiculous. But it was really pushed by this one female detective. It was the first case, her first case is in homicide. Since then, by the way, she's been demoted all the way down to she's like a school resource officer. Anyway. But Wade has a podcast and we're friends, and so he's coming.
Oh, cool.
He'd be an interesting guy to pick out in the crowd.
Yeah, hell yeah. I know.
Well, bring him tonight.
Yeah, come out to the show.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
There's
you got it. Oh, do you have another show?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
We have 2 tonight. 7. I'll get you tickets. Just come and hang out with us.
No, I wasn't going to pay.
I know, but it goes without saying.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just walk in with confidence. You should walk in a place with confidence. They just
they're
you
like,
should be here.
We don't have, we need people. Go and get on in.
I was going to say, when people are leaving, it's like, look, please come back. Please bring someone.
Yeah, for real. You. If you leave, you can bring back 2 more people. Yeah, come out. I mean,
so, okay, sorry. I'm sorry, but you were saying, you go ahead.
Oh, what was this?
What were we? Oh, you said stop at
when
something.
I almost got, the only time I didn't get fired, when they called me in and my till was over.
See?
So I was like, yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
And they were like, and I'm like, I knew at that point, I'm like, this is mutual. I'm gonna go. And they're like, yeah. So it was good. That was like being fired. Like, we all,
I'm so offended that you even brought me in here. I can't work here anymore.
Yeah. And
I
they're
won't
like,
do it.
Okay. Yeah. I turned it on them.
Yeah.
So that, no, I'm leaving. So it was kind of like that. Yeah.
Listen, I told this one. Remember the popcorn story?
I was thinking.
This is I had a buddy. This is in high school. He worked at a movie place at like AMC, And we would go in there. He'd like let us in like this, like go meet me at the side at this time, and I'll unlock the door. You know, he'd let you in, or he'd act. He'd be like, "Come on, I'll let you." You know, no, it's a buddy of mine. So I remember I asked him because he worked there like for years.
I worked at a theater for 2.
And we said, bro, why do you work here? You know, we're all working like construction jobs where you're getting paid. Back then, he's getting paid like $3, like whatever minimum wage was, like $3.65, right? Yeah. And we're all making like $8, you know, which is big money. And we're like, what do you work here for, bro? And we're all like 16, 17 years old. And he goes, man, I make like $20-25 an hour working here. We're like, what? I thought you said you made minimum wage. He goes, oh yeah, no. What we do is, he said, everything is run off of inventory. So he said, if somebody comes up and they say, hey, it's 2 Cokes and a popcorn, he goes, that comes to $20. He goes, so we say, he said, or maybe it comes to $19.75. He's like, we hit the thing, take the 20, hit the thing, give them a quarter from your pocket, take the 20, and then we give them a popcorn, 2 Cokes and a popcorn. He's like, I'm like, well, what do you mean? Where do you get the? He said, at the end of the night, they count up the popcorn bags. So you sold 690 of these. You need this much for popcorn and this many for drinks, for mediums, and this many larges. He said, well, what we do is when we go to take out the garbage, we pull out the old ones, wash them out, dry them out, stack them up. So we have a second stack we all know to pull from if you get exact change.
Genius.
Wow.
So here's your boom. And he had a whole thing where he said, I was like, bro, that is disgusting. He said, that's nothing. He said, one time I had taken out the garbage and we hadn't washed out the cups yet. And this guy gave me like a 20 for like 2 larges and a large popcorn. It was exactly $20. And I was like, that's $20 in my pocket. Yeah. And I was like,
back then, that's $60.
Right. So he said, I grabbed the one, and he said, there's still some, you know, Coke in the bottom, you know, little bubbles of Coke or whatever you want, droplets. He goes, no big deal. I fill it up. The next one I grab, he goes, there's a couple of corns of popcorn.
Jeez.
And a chewed up piece of gum.
Ew.
Oh. And he said, I hit the ice machine, pour the ice, fill it up, pop it up there, give it to him. Never heard anything about it. I was like,
yeah, you would. It's dark theater. I know. Never eat out. Like never. Wow. I worked at Little Caesars. Oh. I remember we dropped the dough, and this guy dropped all the dough in the walk-in at the end of the night. I'm like, we got to do this over. He starts putting them all back in the things. I'm like, dude, that was my first introduction when I was 15 to how dirty,
right?
You know, and then working in the restaurant industry, the industry, the 5-second rule,
right?
That applies. Like everything is, it's garbage.
Hey, listen, that applies. I love it whenever we go out to eat. Jess and I go out there, like, oh, what do you want? Do you want this? Do you want that? I'm like, no, either one's fine. Yeah, no, okay. Do you want it this way? You have no idea what I've eaten. Like, do you understand? Yeah. They don't make any bad food out here. There's nothing on the menu I won't eat and be thankful for it. Right. Unless it's so hot, because I don't like hot stuff. But other than that.
How bad is the food in there?
It's pretty bad. It's not as bad as you think.
Do you eat like that?
No, it's not like that.
When you see them move in the TV, they
that's
come
like
home.
State prison.
Oh, okay.
That's like state prison where these guys are getting robbed and beat up, and there's rapes and stuff like this. That's not. That's very seldomly happening.
Was there rapes in your prison?
I mean, you know, here's the thing: like gay guys get arrested. Yeah, the gay guys get arrested. So gay guys in prison, like, you know, the gay guys will tell you like, oh, you know, gay guys rock, or they rule in prison. Like they get there, and within a week, like guys are buying them tennis shoes. They're buying them stuff because these guys have 30 years, life sentences.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And, you know, so they're like, you know, if you need anything, and that's how it always starts. You have some guy come up to you and go, hey, you need anything? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You just got to set the.
I like the way them pants fit you. All right, we're done. You're
walking. What the fuck did you just say? What the fuck? Cutie cocks.
Yeah, but I'm 5. I'm 5'6". They just put their hand on my head. They're like, stop it, guys.
But still, you gotta fight through it. And they're like, he means business. Don't mess with cutie cocks.
Listen, I have a whole, I have a whole bit about when I first got to prison. This is bad.
I think I was gonna say you bring this up.
I was gonna say, first of all, like imagine me.
Yeah.
How many years ago? No.
On that Shawshank line.
18 years ago.
Oh.
So 18 years ago, remove some wrinkles, but, maybe a little thinner. I get to prison, and when I get to prison, what I didn't realize is that all the pant size run a little bit small. So I go the second day you get there, you go and you get your clothes. So I get my clothes, and I go, and the guy, I'm like, size whatever I said, I forget, like size 30 or 31s, and he's like, the guy goes, you're more like a 34, 35, and I went, I'm not what are you talking about? I said, no, 31, maybe 32s at most. Guy goes, all right. And he just kind of, okay, gives me my stuff. Well, they run small. So I'm basically, by the time I pull my pants on, like I'm sporting a camel toe. I got a camel toe. I'm walking around prison in tiny little pants.
You couldn't get it back?
Yeah, I could, but it takes a while. Like you have to go back in, give them the clothes, write a cop out. It takes a couple of days. So I'm walking around sporting my camel toe,
tight ass.
And I'm a clean cut white guy in a medium security prison that is, I'd say 90% of the guys there are there for violence, and drugs. And I'm one of maybe 20 to 30 white guys. The bulk of them, I'd say 80%, maybe 70% is black, and then 25% is probably Hispanic, and then maybe 5% white guys. Out of those, let's say 30. Out of those 30, I'm one of maybe 4 white guys there's maybe 4 white guys that aren't there for meth. So out of those 30 guys, I have nothing. I have all my teeth.
Right.
I
tight ass pants.
Yeah, exactly. So I very quickly
hot pants.
Hot pants.
Some
skin tights.
That's what they could have called me.
Sweet
hot
ass
pants.
Yeah.
See, people in the comment section will now start calling me hot pants. So I got these guys, and I only say this because it's what happened. It's not racist or it had nothing to do with, but it just happened to be over the next few days or the next week. Multiple large black guys would walk up to me, yo, bro, can I talk to you for a second? And I'm like, yeah, what's going on? Let me talk to you over here. What, over there where there's no cameras? I'm talking here. What's going on? I'm just saying, I'm looking for me a friend. What's a friendly place? What do you mean? I don't understand what you mean. And he's like, I'm just saying, you need anything? No. I don't. What size shoes I'm gonna get you some shoes. No, I don't need any shoes. What do you like to eat, man? I got whatever you need, man. I got you. I'm good, bro. I'm good. What's going on? What is this about? Now suddenly I'm starting to throw a little bit of bass in my voice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What, I don't understand. What do you mean? What are you looking? What?
Yeah.
So.
It's like, do you like lollipops?
Yeah, it's like, I'm just saying, use a, because gays, they don't call them gay, they call them punks. Use a punk. I mean, use gay, right? No. I don't know where you heard that. Yo, bro, I'm done with this conversation. Turn around and walk away. The next time I'm walking a couple days later, I'm walking, and I'm now start to realize, like, guys are now saying, yo, bro, what's other white guys are like, what's up with the camel toe? What's happening with?
I'm like, you didn't know? You didn't realize?
No, I'm like, listen, man. I put in a cop out. I'm going to get my shit changed. I didn't know. I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And they're like, you got to fix this, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm trying. So, and then I'm walking. I get some guy who comes up to me, some big black guy. Hey, let me talk to you. I'm like, yeah, what's up? The guy's like, yo, I work in the kitchen. If you need anything, let me know. I'm like, no, I'm good. No, I'm saying, you need anything? Like, what size shoes are you? What size shoes? No, bro, I don't need any shoes. That's a big deal. It's a big ticket item. It's like, could be between $40 or $50 to $100.
That's kind of flattering. They're gonna give shoes.
Well, I'm a nice.
They're on the shoes. Day one.
I get it. It's just not happening. Listen,
there's a price to pay. It's far more than $40 or $50.
Shoes, bro.
Yes.
I'm not worth shoes.
Yeah.
There is a price.
Excuse me. Now you're getting all defensive.
What's funny is
this ass.
This happened.
Like you turned
I
in
need a
like
watch.
I heard you got 26 years. Like, yeah.
You I need a cell phone.
This goes on for like 4 or 5
I need
days.
my own TV.
It's like 4 or 5 guys come up to me. So finally, this is what's funny. This is when my buddy Zach, I have a buddy Zach that I met in prison. We do podcasts together. Big black guy. So another guy had already told me, yo, bro, there's this guy who wants to meet you. And I'm like, why? I'm not talking to anybody at this point. I'm up against a fence. My back's against a wall. I'm staying where the cameras are.
Slunk around the perimeter.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to my
can
cell.
picture it, dude.
I'm going to my cell at the last minute, just before they do lockdown. I'm realizing this is going to be a problem. So then my buddy Zach comes up. He comes up to me, walks up to me. He walks right up to me. We have 2 different versions of how this happened, but either way, it's the same thing. I think I was up where the fences were, waiting for them to open the fence so you could go back to the unit in the rec yard. So I'm standing there, and Zach walks up to me and just kind of stands there for a minute. He goes, "Hey, I hear we got a lot in common." I go, pfft, and I just walk off. I was like, I know where I have shoes. You know?
Yeah. I already have shoes. Listen.
Stop it. Do I walk off?
Now you know how these chicks feel in the podcast.
It's horrible. I'm sitting there like, hey, eye contact. Stop it.
Eyes up here.
I'm wearing my shirt untucked, walking around, holding it down by my knees. Luckily, listen, by the time I get my pants, it's been too late. It's way too late.
It's too late.
It was, I missed the one thing that really sealed the deal was when I first got there. So I was held in the U.S. Marshals holdover for a year while waiting to be sentenced in Atlanta. There was a black guy named Kiki. Hey, y'all.
Yeah.
Kiki's here. So, but there's like maybe 100 guys in this unit, right? You never leave the unit. Well, there's no politics. There's no prison politics there, right? So everybody knows Kiki. Everybody's sitting together, playing cards together, joking around. There's no like, yo, I don't talk to that punk, bro. I don't talk to punk. None of that. Like the kind of stuff that happens once you get to prison. Everybody knows this is temporary, so they're not pretending. Plus, they're waiting to be sentenced. You don't want to get into a problem. You could say that. You could say something derogatory about a gay guy, but he's still a guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, most of them are nonviolent, but you don't know what this guy might do. You disrespect him. It's still a guy. He may attack you. Now I got to go in front of the judge and the prosecutor saying, "Oh, Your Honor, he's being sentenced to 5 years, but by the way, he got into a fight while he's been waiting to be sentenced. We want to add another year for whatever." You don't know.
Right.
So everybody's very polite. So when I first get to prison, I go to they call it's a transition unit before they give you your main unit. So you go there. I go there, walk in the door on the second tier. As soon as I walk in, and I mean, there's people everywhere. Everybody's out of their cells. I walk in and I hear, hey, hey. I look up and it's Kiki going, Matt. And I go, hey, Kiki, what's going on? He's like, hey, Mike, I'm so excited. Comes running down. We talk for a couple of minutes in front of 150 fucking guys at my new unit. So, and then the next day I pick up my camel toe pants.
No.
So you can imagine, like, you could.
I would have. It's just, I get it.
I want to go to another prison. At that point, it's like, I'll do the 6 months in the shoe and wait to be transferred because I got to start. Can we get a redo?
And you had to do a year there?
No, I did 3 years in that prison.
3 years. And they just, throughout the whole 3 years, they were like, did they?
So once.
He's very hard to get. Like, you got to really.
Yeah. Listen, it was on and off throughout the whole time. Mostly, though, I had a friend named John Gordon and I had a friend named Zach. And so Zach and them very quickly, because guys would go to them and say, "Yo, bro, I see you walking around with that punk. He available? Like, what's going on with it?" They go, "No. He's not gay, bro." They be like, "Don't approach him. Don't this. He's not. He's not. Nah, he on the DL. He on the no. He's not gay." Yeah. And they're like, "Nah, I seen them pants he was wearing."
Right.
No.
That was a mistake.
It was a sizing mistake. Yeah. Listen, it was a sizing mix-up. Here's what happened. Dude, that guy who gave him to was probably like,
"Oh, that
good
dude."
Luck.
He was like, "Yo, bro, I don't think that." I was like, "No, I know what size I am." He was like, "Okay." Like, he was like, "Look, I just tried to help you."
Yeah. You didn't realize at that point.
Yeah. That's happened many times.
Wouldn't you have been
somebody
like,
tried to help.
A little baggier might not hurt.
Yeah.
You weren't thinking that. You go in the extreme opposite. Tight. I want him fit. I want him to look good.
I'm gonna get him tapered.
Yeah, I need him to look.
Be a little long. I want a cuff. No.
That's great. What were you gonna say about?
I had a couple stories. What I was thinking about right now, though, was just like, I wonder if I should title this podcast "Being Gay in Prison."
Oh my God!
I don't think.
Help me with that.
Yeah, I know.
That's all I'm thinking.
And then now
would,
my face is up.
Oh yeah, it would be y'all's faces.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure I get a text from Matt. Like, bro, we have to change this.
Listen,
it's a new demographic.
Most of the time, I have no idea what's coming out till something comes. Till I start getting these comments, and I'll look and I'll be like, "What is this guy talking about?" And be like, "What did Colby do?" And then I go and I see this thumbnail of
Exactly.
and then I look at the first 20 seconds as he does like I call it like a hook. Like an intro, where it's like you'll say something and then I'll say something. It's just a bunch of clips that kind of let you know what's coming. I can see, and then the 20-second clip, I'll be going, "Hey!" You'll be like, "Oh my God!" I'll be saying camel toe, and you'll be laughing about them buying me shoes. I mean, I'll be like,
Speaking of clips, like the clips guys that we were talking about earlier, 9 million views 11 days ago. It's basically Matt telling these stories, me mistaken for being gay in prison. So it could be a popular. That's a topic that applies. Like a lot of people kind of wonder that or think like it's like an intriguing topic that someone who may not be interested in prison, they might see that and be like, oh, like
so
what is
that?
this?
Being gay in prison.
I know that, but you understand, Colby.
So I'm going to say that.
Colby's not concerned about my reputation.
It's going to be the first 15
put my face on there.
The first 15 seconds is going to be Matt doing all the imitations that he was just doing, the Kiki imitation and all that.
But you got me doing something. And they'd be like, Jesus, these two guys are flamboyant.
So
my favorite story is my buddy. Zach was. I'll tell you another one.
Oh yeah, this is classic.
Right back into the comedy thing. Sorry, Zach was in like I think they call it Bloody Beaumont. I think it was Beaumont. I think it was in Bloody Beaumont, which is a pin. He's the only guy who managed to come in at a low that I know that went from low to a medium to a pin. It's like you just can't get right. Like what's wrong with you? You keep fucking up, and never left the pin. Like he went from one pin I think to another pin. Anyway, did he go to a medium?
I just know he worked his way up. That's all I know. Yeah.
So anyway, at a pin like these kind of like they call them cars. So it's not like a gang so much, but you would be in like the Florida car. So he ends up with the Florida car or the Texas car, whatever it was. He goes in there, he says, "Oh, I'm from Florida." And they're like, "Oh, you're with the Florida car." So then you can go hang out with the guys from Florida. Where are you from? Whatever. They check your paperwork, make sure you're solid, whatever. So he ends up with this group of guys, and he said, so we're there. Anyway, he said 6 months later, whatever, he said the main like shot caller for the car invites everybody in to his room. He's like, "Yo, bro, they disrespected us. They disrespected," and he gets them all hyped up, right? Like, "Bro, tomorrow it's going down in the rec yard. We're gonna everybody fucking." He goes, you got your blades," and a guy starts handing out like blades, right? Like I've never been in this situation, but like if I saw one time I found one, and I went to my cousin and I was like, "Hey man, there's a thing over there." And he's like, "Oh shit." He went and told another inmate to go get it. Like, I'm not touching it. Yeah. Like I'm not that guy. So Zach, they give him a blade. Like all these guys got blades. They're all pumped up. They're like, "Yeah." There's like, "Yeah, we're gonna fucking show them not to talk shit." And I don't think it was Florida, but I think it was in whatever state it was. "We're gonna tell them what Florida's all about. Yeah, fuck those motherfuckers. We're going to war, boy." And they're like, "Yeah, man, fuck those motherfuckers. Yeah, in the fucking 12 o'clock in the yard. Yeah, fuck them." And so Zach's sitting there. Zach's like, he's like, and I'm thinking, yeah. I'm thinking, fuck, what is going on, bro? What have I got myself into? Yeah. But Zach is not that guy either. And Zach sat there and he said, "Hey, and he said, well, there's like 8 or 9 of them in this cell, which doesn't hold 8 or 9. Like they're crammed in there." And he goes, "Hey, he said, what are we going to war for?" And he goes, "Yo, and the main guy goes, "Yo, man, they disrespected my boy." And he goes, "What?" He said, "My boy, bro. Another one of them dudes tried my boy." And what that means is that another guy approached the guy that he's his boyfriend. And he goes, "You mean the punk you used to be with or used to live with?" He's like, "Yeah, man, that's my boy. Disrespected him." And he goes, "Yo, man," he said, I don't want to go to war over a punk, bro. I don't want to do that." And they were all like, all of a sudden he said, everybody was like, "Yeah, bro, I'm not ready to pick up a fucking murder charge or a riot charge or get stabbed or have to do 2 years in the shoe and get shipped to a worse prison because somebody approached your boyfriend." And so they're like, "Yeah, bro, I handing in their little
Dude, that's
knives."
great. Like an after school special.
I'm
like
not. And then he said, Zach said, when we kind of left the cell, He's like, guys are walking up to me. Yeah, bro, thank God you said something. I had no idea. I didn't even realize. Like, I'm just trying to be a good soldier. You know, and he's like, yeah, man, what the fuck? You
Helen of Troy in prison?
I feel like there could be.
That's great.
I feel like there could be a comedy show, prison show.
That would be a great.
I really do. I think there's a lot of
all these murderers.
Well, I'm telling you, when Matt and Zach get together, it is a comedy show.
So we did a whole. That was a good episode. What didn't we do one? This was 3 years ago, 4 years ago. We just told funny prison stories.
Yeah.
But you know how like MASH, it was such a hit.
Yes.
And that's like in a war situation and they made it, there were so many funny elements in the middle of a stressful,
there could be
you know what I mean?
Like
I could see this being the next MASH.
Because rape is funny. Yeah. I don't care. That'll be the clip, the opening. Just no context.
That will be muted. Yeah.
That will be muted.
Yeah. To stay monetized.
There's all kinds there's a bunch of little tiny things that like you're probably already have the content. You and I could have the exact same content, but Colby will package that content differently.
Yeah.
And I'll end up with 500,000 subscribers and you'll end up with 10,000. Same exact content, but Colby will put the right thumbnails on. He'll name them the right things. He will get the monetization down. He will edit them correctly with a hook. He will do just some minor things that will change
hashtags
everything.
Nah, hashtags really don't matter. What matters, especially if you're talking about clips, like the most important thing is that first second. It has to be something that's going to draw somebody in. You know what I mean?
And then, the title.
Yeah. And the title. Well, those are vertical videos, so people aren't even really looking at the titles. The title and the packaging really matters more for like the long-term form, like the full podcast. But the actual short clips, what matters is what the person is saying, how they're saying it. Like I could tell you a story and not be very confident. Matt could tell the same exact story, but knows how to deliver it, and he's speaking with so confidence that people are just like drawn in. So it's like that type of verbiage or whatever you want to say it. Yeah. What they're saying and how they're saying it, and it's very important that very first second, that very first 1 or 2 seconds is attention grabbing because people are just boop, boop,
yeah.
boop,
the first 30 seconds of a podcast,
have to be.
Yeah.
Good.
20 seconds of it will just be him, you and I just probably laughing and saying funny things for 20 seconds. And then immediately he'll cut right into you talking. There's no intro. We're not going to, there will be no intro. Well, there might, with this one, there may be.
This one will be just because it's a little bit different than the actual normal format of somebody. But and then I'm writing down, as we're going through, I'm writing down things to create TikToks. Like I have, like gay in prison, Kiki story, never eat out, popcorn story. So those are all things that I'm going to be creating TikToks for that have potential to maybe hit 1 million and things like that. So it's being able to identify those clips. Like for example, Matt will tell a story about a movie. He'll be explaining a movie to someone and we'll cut it to where he's explaining the movie, but it sounds like he's explaining like he did it. Like I did this. And then half the comments will be like, this guy's a fucking liar. Like, this is the plot to this movie. And it just drives the engagement.
Yeah, but it'll get 3 million views. As opposed to if you did the entire context, nobody wants to hear me explain a movie. So that would get 10,000. Is 10,000 views as opposed to 2 or 3 million. Yeah. Even though 90% of the comments are, he's a fucking liar, scumbag, you can't believe anything this guy said. I'll take $1,000 for things that never happened. I get that one all the time.
It's all these clever trolls,
right?
Yeah. So there's there's a lot of little. Yeah, I was telling my wife this the other day. It was like people think it's just putting the clips out, but it is a lot. It really doesn't have to do much with the editing or the hashtag. It's a lot of like little.
Well, what about
small things?
The same thing with the another thing is the packaging on what the thumbnail looks like and what the title looks like.
Yeah, for long form,
We have a guy, Ian Bick did a podcast with this guy. He's another podcaster, true crime podcaster. He did an interview with this guy, was basically an hour long. Guy was talking about
fire sticks.
Sorry, jailbroke fire sticks. They sell them on Amazon. Anyway, he was selling them. He got arrested. He tells the story over the course of an hour. Put it on Ian's podcast. It got maybe 40,000 views. Probably 30 to 40,000. I don't know what's that now. But,
I'll check.
Guy came on the podcast, told the exact same story. He has the story down, which is great because you just have to sit there and go, right. And so
So Ian packaged it on Ian's podcast. It was titled Tech Pirate. Like Tech Pirate sells Amazon Fire Sticks or something like that.
Right. Oh, but because the guy mentioned he got arrested by Grady Judd, Ian is in Connecticut and probably doesn't know who Grady Judd is. But Colby happens to live in Pasco or Polk County. He's very aware of who Grady Judd is, right? So am I. Everybody Floridian is. And so he puts Grady Judd, Sheriff Grady Judd, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, he puts him on the front cover and then puts corruption, names it something about corrupt. Or what is it?
Sheriff Grady Judd, because that's like people might search Sheriff Grady Judd, arrest Amazon scammers.
Right.
So.
But he has him on the thing with the guy's photo.
The picture of the famous sheriff.
And the guy of this famous sheriff. And that video got
1.2 million.
Yeah.
So, and that's the difference between,
it's the same
it's a huge
story.
difference.
Yeah.
Same exact story. It's just packaged differently. So,
Yeah,
a lot of the podcasts.
we
It's
already
adapting
have.
to the culture. This is how we consume information
Yeah.
these days. It's like
But I'm saying
this
you
quick,
probably already have the content.
Yeah.
So I mean,
It's
if
just
you're
the
really
packaging.
if you're really thinking about, hey, how to do it,
Packaging, how to deliver it on the social. Like we have Matt's buddy Zach, who is extremely charismatic, funny, can do something very similar to this. Like I was just telling him, it's like, especially for what we've done, like we have the formula. Like we've figured out the formula over the last 4 years, specifically for like kind of like the true crime genre. It's like we know what to do. You just have to actually create the videos. But it's a learning experience too. Yeah, it's like
Zach literally got within 30 days. He started his channel 30 days later. We put up like 4 videos for him. In 30 days, he was monetized and making money.
Wow.
And he put up another couple videos and then just stopped.
Wow.
Like the first month he made like, I think maybe it was like 300, then it was like 600, and then he just stopped. So you could just follow the formula. This doesn't take a lot.
Yeah.
We set them up with StreamYard. We set them up like all you have to do is get some of your criminal friends and interview them over StreamYard, which is like Zoom. Interview them with, you don't need the whole setup. Just do that. Talk to them for an hour and a half. Post one of those videos once a week, and wait 6 months, and this thing will be bringing in $2,000 to $4,000 within 6 months to a year. And that's conservative, based on his numbers and his personality. Very conservative. The truth is, it may be making $10,000 or $20,000 in 6 months, but that's if everything went really, really right. But let's say conservatively, within 6 months to a year, you're making $4,000 a month. $4,000 a month is probably what Zach is making right now.
It's amazing.
So, and you could do that just working an hour or two a week, just goofing off. And of course, if you did anything extra, and to me, it's like with me, anything. If I do something and then suddenly I see, hey, I made $1,000 at this, where most people are like, yeah, I got $1,000. I'm like, oh, no. Now I just need to, how do I add some zeros to this?
Yeah.
Let's double down on it.
Yeah.
Now we're going to turn this into 10 grand. That's what we need to do. Fuck that $1,000. That's not going to pay my bills. But now that I see the formula, let's throw some testosterone on it. Yeah. How can we jack this thing up?
And one thing that I don't know how it would work with comedy bits, like how long it takes, but one thing that we try to capitalize, especially in the beginning, still now, but like trending events. Like something happens that people are interested in. If you have a joke or a controversial take on it, that's a clip. Like those can go viral. Like that 1.5 or that 2 million viewed TikTok I was telling you about earlier. It was about a trending event. It was about the shooting up in New York of the healthcare CEO. So it's like we rushed that specific clip because this just happened.
Yeah.
Your everyday normal person cares about that subject. Like as far as a comedian, do you know this guy named Damon Darling? He's a black guy, wears Timberland boots. He's like a big beard. So he's a comedian. And I know him, I'm not saying you have to do this, but like he walks up to people in gas stations that are like searching at, like they're looking, buying beer, and he just walks up to them, messes with them. He's like, you struggling with it, bud? Just like, I've been sober 8 years myself, and like just does these little clips. But he's a comedy, or he goes up to somebody, he's like, I got a comedy show coming up. Just random people in Walmart, but he's got like 700,000 on.
Wonder how that would work. Because I'm going to shoot my own TV show.
Yeah.
I think it's about these 3 guys, middle-aged guys that go back to college to play for the worst Division III school in the country because they still have eligibility.
Yeah.
But it's going to be like the first pilot would be like an hour long, but then the episodes would be like 30 minutes, 20 minutes. So I wanted to monetize that on YouTube, like in clips, like in segments. I wonder if that.
You'd have to. I mean, we don't. That's not our format. So
yeah,
you probably but there's probably. Listen, there's all kinds of YouTube channels that are doing stuff that I would never watch that are massive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast.
Never.
Yeah.
Right.
So like Mr. There's so many different things. Like Mr. Beast is like, there's so many different formulas to work. Like what we figured out, this specific formula works like for us and like this specific genre.
Through the podcast.
And we've learned it through trial and error.
Yeah.
Like where other people may spend, like 2-3 hours on one 60-second video, we realized we'd rather spend 2 hours on creating 3, and we'll have a better chance of one of those going viral. And that's what we've been doing for a while, and now we've realized someone else is doing a little bit better. Like we're gonna tweak it. So it's as we increase, like the things tweak. It's a lot of trial and
I have
error.
a friend named Julian Doherty, and he has a podcast, very successful podcast, and he says that we're going with the
quantity
over quality. He's going with quality. We're going with quantity. That's exactly.
Hey,
This is quality stuff right here.
Well, Stalin said that.
How long is your
quantity has a quality of all. Of
How
its
long
own.
is your friend down for, Matt?
Wade.
Wade.
Till tomorrow. Yeah.
Till tomorrow. Okay,
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
So they need to come to the comedy show.
Oh yeah.
What time
we
are the
will.
shows?
Let's
7 and 9:30.
I texted my wife. I was like,
Come
if
to
we can get a
9:30.
babysitter,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
9:30.
we get off from the podcast and stuff. We'll
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
Let's do that. Yeah, it's not. Well, let's go back to you starting comedy. You had started comedy. Like how long? So you decided to do it. You did it. I mean, let's go through comedy.
Yeah.
Let's get through comedy and to what you're doing to the pot with the production, which is what you really came here for.
Yeah, I know. No, we came here to shoot the shit. Like I love the free
This
form.
has been so fascinating.
And I love learning. Like this is really
like we want to interview you.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the other thing real quick before I forget, in case we don't talk again, is that the one of the major things about YouTube is consistency.
Yeah.
So if you said, "Oh no, I got an amazing video that I'm going to put out next week," and you put one next week, and then another one in 3 weeks, and then you do 2 in a week, and then you wait another 4 weeks.
No, it's consistent.
Even if it's dog shit, put out. If you say, "Hey, I'm going to put out 3 videos a week," or even if it's once a week, and you say, "Oh, I don't really have a good interview," but I don't give a shit. If you're putting out consistently, doing 1 hour videos, then put out a 1 hour video. Yeah, but I don't really have anything. Well, then turn the camera on and just talk for an hour and a half and post something because your viewers are waiting for that, and the algorithm is based on, hey, this guy posts. You gotta think YouTube is trying to train you to run a network for them.
Yeah.
So you have to play the rules. The rule is we know this guy consistently posts 2 videos that are roughly an hour long twice a week. Then that's what they expect. They don't have to be gold.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they were. And that's not difficult to do to get good guests. But I'm saying consistency is a big thing.
Yeah.
So that may be a problem with your concept for, hey, I want to do this
Right, for the film. Yeah,
for the film.
Yeah, that would work if you already know this is going to work. That's why Mr. Beast invests millions, $100,000 in one video, because he has the formula down and he knows what works.
Yeah.
In the beginning, we found out what works through quantity.
I know a guy who produces for him.
Yeah.
They do he's like, this production's like $2 million.
Yeah, outrageous.
Yeah.
Like $2 million. That's a movie. That's an independent film. Like
Incredible.
It's
Yeah,
just
and
for
sometimes
20
Just to
seconds.
smash a car.
And sometimes you don't know what is going to work. We've had interviews like interviews that we don't think are going to do good, do really well. Interviews that we walk around like, oh yeah, this
This
is
one's
good.
7 views.
Yeah.
Like what's
Like,
Yeah.
So-
They're the ones that are like, this is huge. This is going to be amazing. You post it and it's got like 8,000 views. And You're like, what happened?
I thought that when we got on here, I'm like, we're gonna have nothing to talk about. Like, we're not good at this crime stuff.
No, it's,
and then we're gonna be so uninteresting.
No, I think you'll like our movie, and you have to watch the movie Dragged Across Concrete.
what is that?
It's
It's
so
a good movie. That's
good.
Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn.
Oh, you would love it.
this
I've been
director's
thinking
real
about
good.
that the
It's
whole
like
time.
it's like a 3-hour movie, but you don't feel like you're watching.
Well, I love
it's-
Vince Vaughn.
It's
So he always plays Vince Vaughn.
it's dirty cops, but you have
Is this new?
No, it's like 2017.
You have understanding for why they chose to be dirty cops, and so you're like
It's
rooting
good.
for them.
Yeah.
Oh,
and,
okay.
and
Yeah.
it's so well done.
He did another, the same director. He's a really good director. He did another movie, Cell Block 66 or something like that. I think it's something like that, but it's got Vince Vaughn in it. Same. So watch that one too.
Just getting to know you, I think you would love it.
Okay.
Yeah, and your wife.
Is this the one where he's really like a tough guy in prison, like Vince Vaughn?
No.
He doesn't really play Vince Vaughn.
No,
not for Dragged Across Concrete.
I have seen it.
You have seen it. And he's got like his hair shaved or whatever.
Oh yeah, he keeps.
It's great. That's the director did Dragged Across.
Yeah, that's very gritty.
And like kind of cheesy VFX as far as their practical kills, like where he's dragging his head across. Like you can tell it's obviously fake,
right?
So it's gruesome, but not. It's kind of corny gruesomeness. But that one's pretty good. Dragged Across Concrete's pretty real.
Yeah, I don't mind a good B movie.
Your audience would love it too. It's so good.
I think it's an A movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was talking about the Cell Block.
Oh, the Cell Block. Yeah. And that's still A movie. It's just the way they did the special effects. Yeah, is B movie-esque.
So you started being a comic.
Yeah, so I did comedy, and about like 5 years in, I started, headlining, working a lot, doing all this stuff, and then I got on cruise ships like right away.
Okay,
I got gigs on Carnival, and then
how does that work?
So I did a contest where I didn't win it, but the people that were there, saw me, and they were like, "Hey, come on, we'll put you on the ship anyways." So then I do the ship. And then from there, they're like, okay, we like you. And then they just start booking you throughout the year.
Do you get like a room? Do you go for like 3 months or for like
no? You
20 days?
You fly into the destination, fly out after your shows are done,
okay.
or port, go to port. So you come in and out. Sometimes you can be on a longer cruise, like five days or 3 days or whatever.
That's probably cool the first time you fly in, do the thing, and fly out. You're like, yeah, that's cool.
First
and then
couple
it
of
sucks
years
after 6 months, right?
Well, if you work there, if you're working there for if you're Malaysian and you're just working there for 9 cents a day,
right?
That sucks.
No, I meant for you.
Oh, for us. But even for us, we don't go there for 9 months. We're not on there. It's just quick and in and out.
No, so you're okay. We're missing something. So you're on a cruise. There's a cruise line.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you fly in, get on the cruise line, do a couple of shows for what, a day or two, or just a day?
Well, like over the period, like if it's a 3-day cruise.
Okay, for a 3-day cruise, and then jump on a plane and fly back.
Yeah, or they take you to port back to America.
Oh, okay.
And you can just fly home.
Yeah, because
they pay for all that.
No,
so
I know.
Easy.
I'm just saying, like for example, when I got out of prison, the first time I jumped on a plane, flew somewhere, was interviewed, and flew back, it was surreal. Like I was like, I can't believe I was in prison a few months ago, and now I'm walking through the airport free. Yeah. And these people, I'm flying in, and they're going to pay for it and put me in a hotel. I'm flying back. And for instance, yesterday, I woke up, and it didn't matter if I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and did it. It was so exciting and exhilarating.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I woke up, got to the airport at about 5:30, got on the airplane at 7, flew to Dallas, Texas, drove to got picked up, was driven to a studio, did a commercial for about 4.5 hours for Home Title Lock, which is it's a company that protects you against people like me, like title fraud. Did 4 hours of shooting, got in a car, drove back to the airport, jumped on a plane, and got back. Listen, by the time I got back, the anxiety and stress of my body, I was just like, this is killing me.
Yeah.
Totally different 5 years later. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The first time for first 6 months, it was amazing. Like, I can't believe this is my life.
Yeah.
And they're paying me for this, and this is great. And then 5 years later, you're like, I need more money. I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. This sucks.
Yeah.
The airport sucks. Sitting in the seat sucks. This guy's huge. He's using both shoulder things. I'm over here in the corner. It's like,
that's the thing with cruise ships. They pay you to travel. And then you go tell some jokes.
Right.
And
that's
what I'm
saying, was it great at first and then it sucked by the end, or just great the whole time?
No, great
the whole time?
First few years.
Oh, okay.
And then, I'm making good money. I'm, meeting people, and I'm just partying. And then it becomes, now, what am I doing with my life? I don't know. I'm ending up on a cruise ship. I'm young.
Right.
I should be out, working the country and, like
trying to get your name out.
Yeah, trying to get in movies and whatever. So I just start drinking. I was like, it's $10 for a full bottle, duty free.
Right.
So it I was getting depressed, this is what I'm doing. There's kids in the audience. You got to do clean shows and dirty shows. I wanted to kill kids. I'd be like, do you go to school? I'd be like, don't go to school. Like I would just be the exact, I don't even know how I lasted 10 years on the boat. And I was a mad drunk. I started out, I drank all day. I woke up, started drinking.
Like, when are these people going to fire me?
It's serious. I don't even know how. I had some cruise director friends. Maybe they kept me going. But I'd kind of sober up for the show. I'd take a nap. I'd get drunk all morning. So, take a nap, sober up till showtime, and then be able to do the show cognitively.
Please tell your Santa story, because that's like the perfect picture of your life on a cruise ship.
Like this was like late stages. I was like the original Bad Santa. This is before even Bad Santa was even a thing. So I come on the ship. It's Christmas time, and one of the cruise directors is a friend of mine. I was like, "Hey, can you be Santa Claus?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not. Why would I do that?" and I hate kids. And he's like, because all the other fly-ons, that's what they called us, fly-ons are doing it. I said, all the other fly-ons are fat comics that enjoy playing Santa Claus. They have their own Santa suits and their shoes. And he's like, well, I'll give you a suit and a beard and this and that.
Do you get paid? Do I get paid
for this? No, you don't get paid.
Oh,
it was just,
he goes,
can you do it for me? Because he was my boy. And he was, I was like, fuck. So I was like, I'll do it for you, but I don't want to do it. I only did it because he was my friend, or else because I'm like doing extra stuff. We're already doing enough. And then, so I get there, and the Santa suit don't even fit me. I'm trying to put pillows in. They're dropped. It looks like I have a giant hernia.
Right.
I have white sneakers. I'm like, I don't have black shoes. I don't have Santa shoes. They put this beard, the nastiest beard. Like all the other guys brought their own equipment.
Right.
This was like a dirty, like it was horrible. I looked like homeless Santa. I'm like, what? This is what we're presenting? So you had to go, they put you up in the, and you're out, there's this big auditorium that seats like, 2,000. I'm inside where the crew is. Like there's this little stairway down the cruise. So I'm waiting until the end of the show. Then Santa's got to come downstairs, go sit in a chair, and all the kids will line up and sit in his lap. And
for pictures.
So I'm waiting, and they're doing a Christmas party. I'm just out there. I'm listening, sitting down, beard off, just fucking, I got some airport bottles of vodka. Just like drinking and because I'm like, I don't want to do this shit, and I kill like a couple, and I start to get like a buzz going, and I knew that my life was kind of in shambles when I saw this like Filipino guy who they make like $1 a day,
right?
Was walking downstairs, looks at me, and I'm like, hey man, and just shakes his head like. And just walks off like this is the biggest loser I've ever seen. This guy's fucking making nothing, and I was like, that really put shit in perspective. So I get a good buzz, and now I'm feeling good. So then they call me down, and I'm like, fuck, and now I'm dancing Santa. So I'm going down the stairs. I'm drunk now, so I'm dancing down the stairs. You're not supposed to dance like I'm doing like the Deion Sanders down the stairs, and I just see the cruise director like. Oh, Jesus. What was I thinking?
It gets better.
And so I get in the seat, and I'm like, and then they get all these kids, and I'm like, how many fucking kids are there? Like I'm saying curse word. Like it's just a shitload of kids. And they have these Camp Carnival girls. They're all like sitting down, they take care of all the kids, and they're cracking up. And I'm a mess. Like the beard's probably not even on right. I reek of vodka. I guarantee it. And parents are putting their kids on my lap and taking pictures. Like I'm going to show up in photo albums, because this is back when we didn't really have cell phones where you take a picture. Right. Like I'll be in these, like where this is us on the cruise. Who's the belligerent Santa? You know, like you would see it on the thing. So we get all the kids, and I'm like, fuck, thank God that's over. And I look over, and there's 15 adults, special needs, waiting for Santa. I go, you gotta be shitting me. I was like, grown ass men, women, wheelchair. Like I was like, fuck. And they would sit on my lap. Just adult. I'm like, I'm like, little help. And one guy, man, in his 30s, late 30s, just sits on my lap, and I go, what do you want for Christmas? I was just, going with the bit. He goes, I want my dad back. He died. And started crying. in my lap, just crying. I'm like, can somebody? And then I guess the mom comes over. Like, I was like, and I went to the crew. I'm like, fuck you, dude. I'm never. Dude, I was wasted. And these kids.
I thought you were going to say, like, don't you worry, Christmas Day, he will be there.
Yeah.
Just to get back at the guy.
Yeah. I should have. I might have even said that. I don't even remember. I blacked out right after that.
This is the picture of Carl on a cruise.
So that was me in a nutshell for like the last 4 years, just all day, every day, and not knowing how to get out of it. And then I was just like, I got to do something with my life. So I fucking tried to sober up myself. Just quit cold turkey.
Right.
After easily a couple bottles a day.
Right.
I started seeing things, talking to people that weren't there. It was like I don't know if you ever heard anybody trying to quit alcohol, but it's like death. And you're not supposed to do it alone.
Right.
Didn't know this. And then, so I was hallucinating, talking to people that weren't there. And then one morning I woke up and then mom's like, you gotta go to the hospital. Calls my sister, and then I get to the calls my sister. I get to the emergency room, and they were gonna let me go. This is like, and then I start talking to somebody that's not there, and they're like, "You gonna let him go now?"
Right.
That's like, I think he needs to be admitted. So they put me on like lithium and all these psych meds, and they detoxed me and did all this stuff, and I was there for like 4 or 5 days. And I remember the second day when I woke up from the night they admitted me, I just see all these doctors walking in, like, and then walking away. And then one of the doctors comes in, like a lady doctor. She's like, "What? No jokes this morning?" Like, what did I do last night? Like in my I had no idea. And they were all like looking. Like, did I get naked? Like, what was I doing? Like, that was so out of hand, and everybody's like walking by.
Like Jordan Belfort after he gets taken off the plane, when he, and they're like, like you attacked one of the stewardesses.
Yeah, exactly.
And they had to duct tape you to the seat, and he's like, "What? What'd I do?
Yeah,
you were a maniac." What?
Whoa.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. It was pretty surreal. And then I sobered up from there, and then I haven't. And then since then, I've been sober since 2013.
You don't go to AA? Nothing?
No.
Oh, okay.
I just was like, I can do it. My mind, I just figured I wanted to do it. So obviously 7 days was like the worst pain in my life. I'm like, I'm still going to push through it.
Right.
And then, but I didn't know you really need help to actually detox.
Oh yeah. You get what do they call that? The DTs or something like that?
Yeah. You get that like day one.
Right.
Like I was doing that. I was getting DTs every day. So like I would have to medicate and drink just to stop. I was leaving Las Vegas, bro.
Right.
I was like, it's such a good movie.
It is, but it's horrible.
It's to a T. And when he's waiting in the bank, he's like, fucking, he's trying to sign a check. I'll be right back. And takes a drink and he's like, oh, sign the check now. Rah, rah, rah. Like that was me. Like I'm ready to sign. So it was a rough go. So then I was like, when I got off, I'm like, I'd rather be broke,
right,
and not than to go back to this life. I'd rather just start working the clubs again, trying to figure out opening for people. I don't care. I don't even care. I have no ego. So that's what I did. I started opening for people and whatever, selling shirts at the end of the shows and just trying to make anything I could, just so I wouldn't have to go back to cruises. Could maybe lead to drinking again. And then I want to be an actor. I want to learn how to act. In South Florida, it's like you could take workshops and learn how to act. But I think being a stand-up always kind of taught me how to act because I act on stage. So I was like, oh, I'll do that. And so I started doing that and got into a lot of shitty things, some micro-budget films.
Right.
That and then started writing my own stuff, wrote it like a web series and doing all this stuff. And then I started writing scripts. I'm like, how do you write a script? I didn't know how to write a script. And then just kind of figured it out. And then wrote a couple of scripts and then wrote a feature film. And then in like 2019, I met her, and then I was like, "Hey,
that's exactly how I introduced my wife."
Yeah,
this one.
I met her.
The old ball and this one.
I forgot we're on a podcast. Yeah. She probably needs an intro. I met Tammy. Like we've talked for like a couple. I'm like, oh, you know her. I met her. We'll edit that out so it looks like I'm a gentleman. We had this fish. Who brought this fish? We can edit that into the gay portion. So then when we got together, I was like, hey, do you want to go broke with me? And she's
you
like,
got down
I do.
on one knee.
Got
down one on
head
knee.
start on you.
Yeah. She's like, I do. And then we're like, we had this one house kind of horror thriller thing. And we're like, because I'd done a lot of shitty things that was like, I had no control of. I was just an actor on the thing. And the directors would come in and they would be horrible and they would show up late to their own set. And I'm like, the material wasn't good. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, I can do my own and I can control the variables because it's like if it dies and it's bad, it's because of me, you know. So I'm like, let me do my own, and so I had this script and she read it, she enjoyed it because of how psychological it was. It's called I Possessed, and there's a possession in it, but it's not really a possession movie. It's more of a different spin on a possession movie.
Oh yeah, all I saw was I saw the trailer.
The trailer, yeah. It's about these 5 people that go to this house and it's haunted. And the way this house haunts them is by their own past secrets and dark regrets start creeping out throughout the night. So it's like the person who's possessed is like kind of more exploiting the other characters and more of a
provoking everyone to look at their own regrets.
Yeah, so their own demons. So it's more their stories that are wrapped up inside the supernatural world that is fun because that's a good way to present these real life situations. So I was like, we can do this. We can shoot ourselves, pay for it ourselves. We can afford this because it's one house, 5 people.
Cut to scene.
Like, there's not even a chance you can pay for this yourself. So we get the location. We're ready to shoot in 2020, and then the pandemic hits, which thank God it did because we got the location. They were willing to push it a year. But we weren't ready to shoot.
Well, right out of the gate, someone steals $7,000 from us, and we're like, "Oh!"
Another filmmaker just steals right out the gate. We ended up paying them before 2020. We couldn't get the money back, and there's a pandemic, so there's a reason we're not shooting.
Yeah,
you know. So the year goes by, and then we didn't have money. Like the pandemic kind of hurt us. I wasn't working as an entertainer, so I'm like, so I told the guy we already paid him half his money to do the project. And then I was like, well, I don't need you for this job. I don't need your gear. We had worked some other stuff out. I didn't need a lot of things that I paid for. So I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to pay you. If you come on, I'll pay you $100 a day for the 24 days we're shooting. Right. And that would end up to be like $3,000 or whatever, because I already paid him $7,000.
Yeah.
For nothing. He hasn't done nothing.
Yeah.
He hasn't lifted a finger. And he's like, I can't live off $100 a day. I'm like, you have the $7,000 that I gave you.
No, I don't.
That
I
no
spent the $7,000.
Yeah, exactly. He did another like micro budget film in New Mexico during the pandemic.
Right.
So obviously with our money. Right. You know, so it's like, where's our credit for that? So he couldn't do it. And there was no negotiation. There was no anything.
Yeah, he was okay with having stole that money from
stolen. It's okay with it. Completely okay.
Tammy's over here saying, "Don't you feel guilty?" He's like, "No,
and he's
like a baby."
Which is another struggling filmmaker. It's like I just look at that dude as a piece of shit in the world. You know, in the filmmaking world.
And again, it just left us like scratching our heads, like, shoot, you know, who do you trust and who can you trust? And it's like a big project, and
and I wanted
trying
to kill
find
this guy.
a team.
Like I was ready to go to jail for that. Like I was like finally ready to go to jail. I'm like, I will drive to Tampa and murder this kid. Like he's lucky. If you're listening out there, bro, you're lucky I have Tammy. Because you'd be dead right now. And I'd be in jail, writing scripts and doing podcasts.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's in Tampa. We're gonna have to have him on the show.
He's got a crime story. Listen, they're just one of 40 people.
Probably
for $7,000.
Oh, I'm
he's
sure
a big
he's
talker.
scammed. Yeah, he's a huge talker, and he thinks he's the shit,
and
he's
fell.
not.
We fell for
he
it.
made a movie after we made a movie, and I guarantee our movie's 10 times better than his shitty movie.
Okay, all right.
That's enough.
Can
we leave all that in?
This is again why you hear so many people like they're making a movie and then you never see it, because it's so freaking hard to get a team and get it going.
And then I got my team. We eventually, and then we shot it. We shot in Lake Placid, Florida, in this big farmhouse, and it was beautiful. And a lot of things, bad things, tough things happened. Like we lost the main actor 3 days out. We were rehearsing with them for months. He got diverticulitis, COVID. He's in the hospital. 3 days before we're going to shoot. So we had to move actors around. Like, it was just like,
he's still living. But.
Yeah, God rest his soul. No, but all those moving the actors around made it a better film because the actors that are in place now, like, just all these things kept happening, but it always turned out to be for the better.
Right.
You know, and then now we have this film that's completely done, and we got distribution for it, and we're doing that local theatrical. We're doing a limited theatrical run around the country. It's called a comedy tour as well. We'll do like stand-up comedy during the week at a club in a different town, and then event screening of the film. It's like we're doing in Tampa in January 15th. We're doing the Sunray Cinema.
Okay.
So we'll be there on that night. We just got on their website finally. I'm not sure what time we'll do the screening. Yeah, I would love for you guys to come.
Yeah,
on
we'll
the
go.
15th. That would be awesome.
But
We'll go.
The Sunray Cinema. It's in like the old University Mall.
Unmarked building.
Hey. It's like the movie theater's nice.
Kind of a sketchy neighborhood.
I know where University Mall is. I grew up in Temple Terrace. It's right near.
Yeah, it's like a sketch. Like we're like, is this place even open?
There's the adult store, and then the Salvation Army, and then a burned out building, and then the theaters behind all of that.
Yeah. What's so sad is that when I was growing up, University Mall was the shit.
Yeah.
That was the mall.
Yeah. Now malls are.
Yeah. Bozak worked there at the, there's a tattoo place there. He said, you don't understand, bro. He goes, every day, at least a couple times a day, the cops are literally chasing people through the mall.
Yeah.
Like running where you'll see a couple of black kids running where they run in school and there'll be cops running after them. He's in the mall.
We were a little nervous walking, trying to figure out where it was. But then the actual theater is nice. It's just getting to it is a little whoa.
Well, no, there's a parking garage right there. So you just walk in right there. So it's not a big deal, but.
He's like, did
listen,
you have to tell
everything has been
yes.
right? Everything has been a crazy story.
Yeah, so that's what we're in the process of getting all the cities now because everybody wanted to wait till after the holidays, all these theaters.
But we also we filmed in 2021. Since then, we've been doing test screenings. So we've actually had it in front of maybe 1,200 people.
Yeah, you tested it, gave out flyers,
because Carl would do comedy shows and then invite people to come and be in the audience and give feedback. We've done questionnaires. We've just. It's been good because one scene we actually redid the whole scene because a question kept coming up over and over and over with all these audiences. And it's like, we just have to redo this scene. It's not hitting the way we want it to. And, and then we did it and then people were like, whoa. And we're like, okay, that's the reaction we wanted. But
we took it seriously.
We took our time. We got audience feedback. I mean, grown men cried. We were like, oh, okay, whoa, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's emotional.
But it's really it kind of hones in on the theme of, it's like the difference between guilt and shame. Guilt is I did something bad, and shame is I am bad, and you feel unforgivable. And so it's kind of like the theme is forgive and live in the movie. So these people are each being, provoked to look at their own worst regrets, and can you forgive yourself or ask for forgiveness and live or not?
So there's a deeper
kind of
meaning.
a deep theme here.
It was just a scary movie.
Yeah, I know. Right? We thought we just killed chopping people up.
It is very psychological, and people came out like, "Woo!" Like I'm looking at my life now.
It's more in the vein of like Sixth Sense. Where you walk out going, that's what that was.
Because everything,
it's a great movie.
Like you get to the end, like, wait, okay, hold on, I gotta go back and watch it again.
It's like one of those movies. Like on the second watch, we had our friend watch it out of LA, and he's working with a lot of films, and he's like, he saw it the first time we sent it to him a little while back, and I guess he might have just checked it out on his computer. I don't even know what. He watched it, but he's like, "Hey, can I watch a movie again?" This was like recently, so probably after all the fixes and stuff. And he's like, "Wow, I don't even remember watching it the first time." I'm like, I can't. It's like a different movie. Did I watch the same movie? It's one of those movies where you're like, you kind of miss a lot.
You get more.
Well, it's like Sixth Sense. You watch it the second time so differently.
But multiplied by 10 different things.
I was gonna say because at the end of Sixth Sense, if you watch it knowing the ending, then you watch it again, you're like,
Oh, it's so obvious.
Like,
it's exactly like that.
All of those.
It's so obvious.
It was all that foreshadowing that's just,
and you can tell he's not talking. He's not there. You can tell. Like,
you can tell this after he's not there. The
breath
first time.
And
right. And we have those moments. Like I have moments where I'm telling you who's what, who's the killer, who's this and that. In almost like the early scenes. Like everything's you've already been told the whole movie by the time you get to the end, but when you're at the end, you're like, oh, that's what it was about. But it's like we told you through the whole movie.
So I have a question. So because I'm curious about this, because I like I said before the podcast, I've written a bunch of true crime stories. Like I have like 20 something of them, but most of them are synopses. So I've always wondered like what it takes, obviously, to make a movie. Like I don't have enough knowledge to actually do it. You have to get like a guy that really knows what cameras to use to shoot and the whole thing. And then editing and all these things. But what I'm wondering is once you've got the finished product, like you're not in movie theaters, like you're not on Netflix. Yeah. You're going to end up on, and I have a buddy who does documentaries. And so do you end up putting it on like Peacock, or do you have other than the releases, is there another what am I looking, format with
avenue or platform?
Avenue for distribution? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we got distribution with Good Deeds. It's their umbrella company, Cranked Up Films, they're out of Ohio, and we got offers by several different distribution companies. And the offers are pretty much profit share. It's not nobody's really offering you anything.
Nobody's coming saying we'll give you $2 million. Or something.
They give you, some will offer MG. We got a couple, but it was like garbage money. It was like it's not even. It's an insult. Yeah. It's like that doesn't even. That'll cover deliverables.
And all of those distribution companies, their format is to acquire like 200 movies a year, throw them all on a platform, and see what sticks.
And they do it. We got a producer rep that shopped it around.
That's the term I was looking for. Platform. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. We got a producer rep who shopped it around to all these. They went to like he went to Netflix and Hulu and all them, but honestly, and not any slide to him or anything. I don't feel like he's like, no, they'll watch the movie. I don't feel like they watched the movie.
No.
I don't, because even on one comment, I think it was maybe like MGM or something. It was like a big place. They go, didn't like the film much, too predictable. And right there, it's like, okay, it's anything but predictable. Like it's you just saw I Possessed. Oh, possession movie. We already know what it is. That's all you saw. That's all you looked at. You didn't even look at the trailer. I guarantee you didn't watch. They don't watch the trailer.
What's great is if you give them the link to look at it and you put it on YouTube and put it as unlisted, you can see when someone watches the trailer.
Yeah.
You can see three people watched it. How many people are supposed to watch it? 4. 3 people at least watched it for at least, and then you can check the analytics. The average watch time is 8 minutes.
Right.
So those 3 people didn't even watch the whole movie. We'll watch 8 minutes of it on average or whatever. So it's something to think about.
So that's the thing. Even with a producer's rep, even with sending the full movie to different distribution, you still don't have a chance because you're trying to get through the gatekeepers. Have they even watched the movie? What are they looking for their slots that they're trying to fill and their business model? It's like a whole thing. And we just thought, if we make a good movie, and it has great audience feedback, So
it's the American Idol reference.
It's so crazy. So we went with this Good Deeds Cranked Up film
because they were a smaller company, more boutique, and they only take maybe 20 films a year or something like that. And they were open to doing the theatrical with us.
And they loved that Carl was a comedian and had that side too, because they've been doing comedy specials as well, and they love the whole idea of touring around and
so they're helping us with this. They have a theatrical department that makes the calls to the theaters and
who booked us at University Mall.
We're in Puerto Rico for 2 weeks.
Right.
Start on the 23rd, January 23rd. So that'll play for a couple weeks there, and then we're going to work the rest of the country and more in Florida too. But so we went. So after we got out with them, they're going to put it on demand VOD in April. So it'll be on Vudu.
Okay.
Amazon Prime and then Apple. It'll go there, and then they'll revisit going to the streaming services.
And by then we'll have reviews. We'll have a theatrical run,
A fighting chance to get it in there, because out the gate with no stars, and the reason why we did make a psychological thriller horror film is because it's we needed something with no stars, because that's the only thing that can sell with no stars is a horror film.
Right. Like
you can't
Tom
really
Cruise.
sell a comedy.
What is it? What's the one I always that was huge?
The Lost in the Woods footage, that one?
Yeah. It was,
the
Blair Witch.
Yeah, Blair Witch.
Yeah.
And that's an anomaly. And
everybody wants to redo. Everybody wants that success, right?
But that's like such an anomaly. I mean, there's some films like Terrifier now that are kind of building steam and getting that anomaly thing where they're making millions at the box office. Like, we made this because we want to show people what we can do and a micro budget. Like, it's not micro, it's beyond micro, but it's a fraction of what Hollywood can do.
Right.
And
what was the budget, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I mean, it was under $1 million.
Okay.
But
and how does that? Because I mean, I saw your act. So how'd you get that money?
Yeah. Well, we were gonna. Yeah.
Well, now that you asked, that's a good question.
And I know the gambler in the audience didn't help. Like,
no, we went in, thinking we were gonna make this for $100K.
Right.
And then we can do this. It's in and out $100K through post production, and no. So
you have to raise the money.
Yeah, and then we found another partner. We found people that to help out.
Carl sold his car. Yeah. I emptied out my retirement.
We raised a lot of money ourselves, but then we got obviously got help, and then throughout the process, when we got to post production, we had no money left, and then we started getting more help, because doing the test screenings, people would see, like, we'd be going. And this movie should have cost a lot more than we paid for it, because of all the favors I was getting. Like, for instance, we didn't even have special effects going into these test screenings. We didn't have a lot of them. So a guy comes to the show, I invite him to the movie. He comes up to me after the movie and goes, "Hey, I do special," because we were saying we need still more money to pay for special effects, this and that. He goes, "I do special effects," and I'm like, "Well, that's cool." And he's like, his girl's like, "No, he's being nice.
Modest.
He's being modest. He does for Marvel."
Right.
So he was like,
and of course we're like Marvel.
Yeah,
Marvel.
He's worked on
what
Batman, Avengers, all this stuff. So he's like, "I'd be happy to do it," and no charge. I'm like, "Well, what are you charging?" I'd just be. You only need a few, right?
Yeah.
And then it turned into bucket list. Like, we got on a Zoom. Now we're good friends. Now we're really good friends. We talk all the time, and he did all this stuff for us for nothing. That would have cost $60K. That. It's just like we were getting those kind of favors. Even in production, I was getting favors. Like the place we rented should have cost $100,000. Should have, for a month to take over this whole entire farm. It wasn't even close to that. And
to be honest, I think commitment is so huge. Like people buy into this committed person,
right?
Who's so passionate. This is all he's focused on, and it feels like a safe bet, and then. It's like the two of us make a good team. And so I think that's what they buy into, is like, these are good people. And this guy is like crazy committed and super talented. And, so
we got help.
It wasn't just like.
The look you have is the same look I get when people say inspiring. You're just like, but it's the same thing. You don't feel it, but people see that driven commitment, and they are inspired by it, even though you're just thinking, "Man, I'm just trying to make a movie."
Yeah,
I'm just trying to fucking do a podcast.
So we were on set for 4 weeks, and which is a long time for an independent film. But we knew we just needed time to learn and like figure out stuff, and so we wanted to give us our team that set amount of time. So anyway, the first week it was like, again, mutiny on set. Everything was going wrong. People are complaining. Like, it was just, oh my goodness, it's so hard anyway. And we're trying to find another actor to replace, and this, that, the other, so much pressure on us because we're producing and everything too.
It's like, we're running out of money 2 weeks in.
Thank God, thank God that we, again, for this commitment, because I think by the second week, the whole cast and crew, they were like, you know what, we see how committed you are and how hard you're working, and it made everyone want to step up and go the extra mile. And I think if we hadn't have had that, we wouldn't have what we have in this movie.
Also
everyone did more than expected.
And also,
after
we
that
were
first
a week
week
in shooting, then everybody felt like, oh, this is good. Like what we're creating is
right,
actually good. Because you can be on a set and be like, this is garbage. The writing's garbage. This is.
But again, it's your vision, your commitment to it.
And we knew right away. And then there's a moment in the film where it requires some stunt work and all this stuff. And we were like, if it looks hokey, this is going to fail.
Yeah.
And then it ended up looking great. And I got help from local builders building me props and not for nothing.
Who
They're
stayed
like, just
up
pay
with us all
materials,
night.
stood up with it. They just wanted to help out. And I mean, it's just so much that, the resources that we made to make this thing. And it looks like a Hollywood movie. Like the story's just as good as anything Blumhouse is putting out. When you watch it, you're like, the thing we're competing with is it's like my stand up. It's like when I get up on stage, people are, I have to prove myself to these people for 5 minutes because they don't know who I am.
Yeah.
So it's like now they got to get to know me, and then eventually I can get them. It's like this movie. It's like they're watching this, and I'm the main character, so they're watching me. If it was Jake Gyllenhaal, then we're already in, no matter what he does for that whole. So now they got to watch me going, I don't know if I like, do I like this guy? Because my character's weird in it. He's suffering from PTSD. He's an Army Ranger veteran sniper. He's hallucinating with his dead lieutenant. He's talking to his dead lieutenant of 10 years, which I put in from my hallucinations. I put in that kind of aspect.
Right.
So this guy's weird. So you're like, he's acting weird. And it's like, is he a bad actor? Is he this and that? And then by the time you get through the movie, you're like, this is why he's been acting like that.
Right.
So it's kind of like, oh, it's a character choice, but these people got to want to follow this character through this journey. And that's the struggle with when somebody's not recognizable.
Yeah.
So you got to deal with that. That's why maybe on a second watch, it's like, oh, it's easier to watch these characters. I know them now. They're not somebody and I think that's the struggle with every Hollywood film.
Well, I think too, the overwhelming feedback we've received from all the test screenings, and it's, the theme is, I was surprised, like one, how good the story was, and two, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
So I have a friend, Kevin Interdonato, and he makes, he also is a producer. He's an actor and he's a producer, and he has made I think he's been a part of making 3 or 4 movies, but I think he specifically has made like 3 movies on his own. Now, he came on and we did a podcast with him, and we watched the movie that he had done that he was promoting, and it was funny because we got it. We had to watch it on like Venmo or something. He gave us like the
Vimeo. Yeah.
Vimeo, is that it? Yeah. He had to send us the link and everything. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking like, bro, why don't you just put this on YouTube and charge? Because you can charge people. Like,
Yeah.
I buy stuff. Breaking Bad. I bought like the series of Breaking Bad. Yeah. You just pay for it. $21. $21. So I buy all my movies. I must have 50 movies in my YouTube library that I've just bought.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I had to watch his. He sent me the link and I watched it. It was funny too because it's exactly that. Once you'd watch 20 or 30 minutes of it, it got really good. And then at the very end of the movie, there's such a kind of a twist at the end of the movie that it was like my wife and I were both just like, actually, it's not true. There's 2 twists at the end of the movie. And both times we were just like, whoa, oh, wow. So he murdered, so-and-so. Like, wow. Like, it's funny because then I was like, feel like that it felt like that, like you realize it. And then there's another thing that happened too that you realize like, oh, that's what the phone call was. And even when I had seen the phone call, because I'm when you write, you analyze everything. Like, why would they mention that? There's some reason there's no reason to have that phone call. There's no reason for this person to have said that. That means something because you're trying to condense all this into 2 hours. So everything means something.
Yeah.
So I was watching and I was like, so at the very end when you have this one twist, you're just like, oh, that's right. She was.
You have to send me that. Send me the name of that.
Yeah. He's same thing. I've had this conversation with him, and he's one of these guys who's bro, you should do this. I'll help you do. I'm like, I'm doing too much already.
Yeah.
Yeah. I even pitched him one time because I had for one of my. Let's enough about you.
Yeah.
So I'm already
She says that to me.
I'm already going to get in the comment section. There's going to be more than most are going to be like, bro, let this fucking dude talk. Stop telling
Probably
stories.
not.
No, you'd be shocked. Sometimes I feel like I didn't talk at all, and people will say that, and I'm like, and I'm sitting here while I'm telling a story. I'm thinking, what are people going to do to me? They're going to push you. I've interrupted you so many times.
We've just been going back and forth.
Well, one of the stories that I have, and it's a true story, and there's actually articles about it and everything. It's actually a really good story that I wrote a synopsis about, and I was telling Kevin, like, bro, this is something that could be done that I think you could do. He didn't bite on it. He did. I mean, we talked about it several times, but he never bit on it because he's working on all these. He's like, I'm already doing this. I'm doing this. But and it was basically it's this guy that I wrote a story about, and the quick version is black kid, never got in trouble, raised in the project, but had a good, never been arrested. All of his friends have been arrested. They're all felons. He actually tried to be an MT. He had gone to school for it, couldn't pass the state test to do it. And he's like, I don't know why I got all good grades in my class. Anyway, ends up one of his buddies like, you know what you should do? You should get your concealed weapons permit and go work for like one of these companies that delivers money. And he's like, they make okay money. I'm not great, but they make okay, $15-20 an hour. And he's like, okay. He's like, and then we can, once you're in there and you've been doing it for a while, he said, we work it out so that we set you know how it works inside. He goes, we set up a robbery. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. He's like, kind of laughs it off. He's like, but that's not a bad idea. You're right. Cause I've never been in trouble. So he does get his license. He does go to work for it. Whether that was true or not, I don't know, that he never intended to do this, but whatever. So it's called Cash Logistics. It's like the third largest moving or logistics company for moving money. He ends up working there. Eventually, 6 months later, a year later, he ends up being an assistant manager. And he actually they set up a robbery with these two guys that can't pull it off. Mm-hmm. Then he ends up, for another circumstances, he ends up being in the warehouse by himself multiple times every weekend or every Thursday or whatever it is. It just happens to be is at a point where there's supposed to be at least 2 or 3 people there, but it ends up where it's just him. As the trucks are arriving, he's checking in the money. It's just him. So he sets it up. So he's like, look, I'm going to be here alone at this time. Come rob me. Take the money. There's like $11 million in this vault right here. There's like 11 here and 3 here. They rob him. 2, they grab the money out of the wrong vault. They're idiots. They almost kill him because they want it to look real, but the truth is they beat the hell out of me. And then they get away. Anyway, FBI shows up. They know he's in on it, but they can't prove it. They're doing the whole thing. He eventually quits his job because he's like, they're all over him. They screw him out of the $1 million, $1.2 he's supposed to get. They give him $300,000. He blows through that. Then he ends up robbing a truck himself. Oh, man. He gets caught immediately. Wow. While this whole thing's going, these guys start trying to kill him. They're put a hit out on him. They end up killing his best friend, the guy that set the whole thing up. Now they're trying to kill him. The guy comes for him several times. He gets away. He then robs a truck, gets arrested, goes to prison. Goes to prison, meets me. The other guys that robbed him the first time, that screwed him out of the money, they get caught. They go to prison. The cops know they ordered the murder on this guy, on his best friend, but they can't prove it. They cooperate. He doesn't cooperate against them, by the way. So he gets 10 years for the one robbery. No, he gets 15 years for the first robbery because he fires his weapon. He robs the armored truck, gets $300,000 or $400,000, but he didn't get away. He gets caught like 5 miles away. Yeah. But he does fire his weapon several times. That's it. He gets 15 years. You're done. You're not getting less. That's a mandatory minimum. And the FBI comes to him and says, he's like, unless you cooperate. We know these guys robbed you here. Cooperate, you could do 5 years. Yeah. He says, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to cooperate. So he takes the 15 years. So later, they arrest these 2 guys for the main robbery, the $3 million. They cooperate because they've been to federal prison, so they know how it works. They snitch on him. He ends up getting another charge. He gets 10 more years. He ends up going to prison for 25 years. These guys have already gone to prison on the robbery and gotten out. They both did 4 or 5 years. They're already out. He's serving 25 years. But it's a great movie. I mean, there's great. Just the story. I was like, this is fucking great.
It's a very unsatisfying movie to walk out of.
It does. It sucks. No, you're right. You probably have to do a Hollywood
unless
ending.
This guy was hateable. You just
he's super nice. Yeah. He's a nice kid. Anyway, so if you could fix it somehow, you could. It's based on. You could always fix it. But here's the thing. What I was always saying was this: if you look through the whole thing, it's really only about 6 characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's really the only he's the main character. And then there's a couple of FBI agents, right? So maybe 7 characters, 8 characters at most. And I was thinking to myself, I was telling Kevin, I was like, do you understand how you could shoot it? I said, here's what you do. You go get several up and coming rappers that have 200,000, 500,000 subscribers or 1 million subscribers on Instagram. And you go and you find those guys. Because if you look at it, there's almost no acting. There's almost very little dialogue other than the main guy, 1 or 2 guys. There's no real special effects, very little special effects. You know, other than maybe a gun going off, boom, boom. I mean, anybody can do that. You know what I'm saying? There's not that much. It's not like people are thrown through the air or, you know, car chases. There is a couple of car chases, but they don't have to be insane. Talking about just boom, boom, cars chasing after us. There's no crashes or anything. Anyway, very little. If you read the whole thing, you'd be like, wow, this is a fucking, it's a drama.
Yeah.
That's it. So anyway, the point I was saying, you go get a bunch of up and coming rappers. You get to you tell them, look, you're going to work for almost nothing, but we'll use your music as the background for the score. Yeah. And then of course they end up having millions of followers that hopefully they can promote. And you never know if one of these guys is going to become big. Maybe one of these guys is the next Tupac. They all want to be actors. All rappers want to be actors in the end. They all want to end up being, I want to jump from this to this. Yeah. So because let's face it, you know, rapping is actually difficult. Just a lot of time doing, you know, promotions, a lot where they'd rather be an actor and go and I can be catered to for 3 months and work a few months.
Yeah, the acting part could work. I don't know about the music because oftentimes artists don't even have the rights to their music.
Yeah, but a lot of these, when I'm saying a lot of these guys probably don't, they probably don't even have labels. Like if you've got 500,000 on followers, you're probably making your own music.
Yeah.
But anyway,
if that's the case.
So obviously, maybe you pick one of them that it's available, and the other guys, well, you could use mine. Well, talk to your fucking label. I tried. Yeah. We talked to them. They said no. Yeah. Point is that they would probably help promote the living shit out of that video.
That'd be amazing.
Some of them are probably semi-recognizable, and as you're doing the story, they'll become more recognizable, and then they'll help promote it.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm saying that to me, I always thought was a decent idea for and probably fairly low budget, not. Yeah, you know, low budget is different. Obviously, $1 million. You guys are like it's low budget.
$1 million
sounds like a lot of money.
It sounds like a lot.
It does.
It's interesting because that's still 1.5 is considered low budget,
right?
That's crazy. High, but like because micro budgets is like between 50 and 100,000. So and then ULBs would be up to like 250,000, ultra low budget,
right?
And then low budget is but I guess if we didn't do it SAG, which if you do union, then you got to pay more for things and you're regulated. And back then you had to do like COVID restrictions and that cost $30,000 out the gate.
Well, then also if it's SAG, each actor has to get so much money?
Has to get a certain amount.
And we don't have the budget for that. So
exactly. And so like non-union is the best way to go. But I mean, I understand if you need to get a good actor or somebody that's recognizable, it's all catch-22. And it doesn't mean that because you have a recognizable face is going to do well and like you said, a drama is like if you have a drama with no stars, you're dead in the water. Yeah. If you have a comedy.
That's why I was thinking, I was hoping this scenario gets around that somehow.
Yeah. There's probably,
I don't know anything.
Yeah. There's loopholes and a lot sounds, it's just catching lightning in a bottle, you just got to kind of, because a drama can make it, it's a story. Like look at Tarantino, made Reservoir Dogs, that was kind of a drama. I mean, there was a little bit of action in it, but those times are hard now because how do you get separated? Because there's so much material coming out every year.
Right.
That's the thing. How do you separate yourself? Like I know we made a unique film, a good film, but that's why we're going to play off my stand-up and kind of comedian made a horror film. I just shot my special 2 weeks ago in Vero Beach. It's going to be nice. 7-camera shoot, crane. It's going to look beautiful. And then we'll shop that around. And
hopefully they can cross-promote each other.
Yeah, I think the probably the better cross. I mean, hopefully that does work. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. But the second one that you said you had just written about it's kind of like a comedy.
Yeah.
You said kind of like comedy, or
Yeah,
it's a comedy.
Okay,
Oh yeah, straight up.
It is a comedy. That sounds more able to be cross promoted with your
with my
stand-up.
style.
With your stand up.
Yeah.
Well, my next film is similar to it's a comedy horror film, but it's a Hallmark Christmas movie. But then it introduces
just the explanation alone.
It introduces a bad Santa character.
Right.
So this is my character from the cruise ship. Into this world, he gets stuck, and so now he's in this world. This weird.
Hallmark
if
world.
you watch a Hallmark, you're like, this is corny dialogue, corny storylines, like love triangles.
What is it? The snowman?
Yeah.
The
snowman
one.
That wasn't even a Hallmark. That was just a regular Netflix.
I feel like Netflix is starting to do kind of Hallmarky type of movies.
So I watched about half that with my wife just the whole time. She goes, "So what are you doing?" She's like, "No, it's good."
Yeah.
I'm like,
no, it's bad. They're bad, and this is very Hallmarky.
It
starts out
please
Hallmarky.
sign the petition to save the Christmas tree.
It's very Hallmarky. You already hate these characters. I mean, you like them, but you hate them. You want them dead. So my character gets into this scenario, and he wants to get out of this holiday hellscape, because he curses, and there's no cursing in it,
right?
Because it takes you it starts out in this Hallmark situation, and then 10 pages in, you meet these guys that own a bar. Like, I own a bar, and it's just him. This Salvation Army Santa is sitting at the bar just drunk, and the two bartenders are, their place is dilapidated, the bar, and it's like, you'd be better off if you've dressed this place up. He's like, fuck Christmas, fuck Santa. Like, his mom cheated on his dad with a mall Santa. Like, that's the story.
Right.
So you kind of set up. She's like, she sucked the joy out of Christmas. Like, she literally sucked the joy out of Christmas. And so they, you start out with the dirty, down, seedy, and then introduce this character into this world. So you're thinking, okay, well, that's what it is. He wants to get out, and then halfway through, it just turns on its side, 180-degree turn. It turns some of the characters in the Hallmark world turn into monsters and start eating everybody in the town. So now it's an 80s, 90s monster movie. They they hold up in a Christmas knickknack store like The Mist.
Right.
It's misty out. It's dark. You don't see. And so all that shit, they're trying to get out alive.
Right.
And then, so it's like, have you ever seen From Dusk Till Dawn?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. So like halfway through, you're like, what? Now it's this?
Yeah.
And I wrote the script, and I ran it through an AI program, got really good,
very
feedback,
original,
and it could be a holiday classic, and so
AI said it could be a holiday classic.
This program they have that ran it through it's and it gave really good feedback and on stuff I know I needed to fix in the script.
Right.
So I was like, oh yeah, they understand. And so
I think it would be satisfying for people who roll their eyes at Hallmark movies.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a cast picked out?
No.
No.
Here's an idea.
No.
So there's a pair of influencers, this guy and this girl on Instagram. And I mean, they only have 70,000 followers, but they have reels that have 29 million, 15 million, 11 million. They're
do the
actors.
Hallmark thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They do, Hallmark movies, cheesy, and they play into it. So it's like, depending, it's like you get.
Do you know who it is?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. The two white guy, a white girl, white guy, white girl. Yeah.
We were
cute.
thinking get actual Hallmark, like really well-known Hallmark to play a couple of the main characters. I mean, obviously we're going to play, we're going to play some actors, but if we get two of those people that are really recognizable and we make one like turn into a monster and one like the main character.
Right.
And then maybe she dies or like, whatever. That would be very satisfying and very fun for, I think, another audience, to see.
So why did you have the beard?
Oh,
you mentioned the beard earlier.
For the movie, for the film, because
I Possess.
Yeah, I was like, because this guy he just got out of the military. He's been out of the military for like 3 months, and he just wanted a different change, a different look. He didn't want to shave, so it was a little longer for the film,
right?
Just a little bit, and so he had and me with clean face, I looked too nice.
Okay.
And so my character's slowly evolving through the movie. So you're kind of getting scared of this guy.
Right.
So I wanted to be a scary, like I put on like 20 pounds.
I was about to say, you look pretty
I bulked.
built.
Yeah, I bulked.
Yeah.
Back then I was like 225, I think, for the film. Like I'm at like 218.
Yeah, when
now.
you guys were watching, I was looking through the IMDb page. It looks good.
Yeah, I wanted to be this big menacing thing because it kind of fits for the character, and it would be weird if I was just some skinny, unshaven. It wouldn't even look like.
One of our neighbors went to the screening, and now he's like, "Yeah, I'm kind of nervous around Carl."
Yeah,
I'm
never
like, you
saw
need to come to a
my
comedy
stand-up.
show.
You're right. Like, yeah, if you haven't seen the stand-up, you're like, oh Jesus. But if you've seen the stand-up, then it's like it might even be like hard to get you in that moment. Excited, this guy. Yeah, it's like the old, what is it like? Adam Sandler when he plays a serious role.
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
But he does it well.
Or Vince Vaughn when he plays something serious. It takes you a little bit.
It takes you a little bit, but then he gets it. He's good. So it's like that.
What do you want to do?
I mean, I think we're good as far as we got plenty of footage. I think.
You want me to do an outro and an intro?
Yeah. But I have a question, I guess, for people that just listened and kind of want to know more about the film or how they could watch it potentially or whatever. Like, where could we send them?
Okay, cool. Yeah, that'd be great. Well, for right now, we have on Instagram, we have I Possessed Movie, Instagram, I Possessed Movie, Facebook, TikTok, just I Possessed, I think it is, and ipossessedmovie.com. So everything it's one word, I Possessed, like the one word.
Oh, it is the lowercase.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too. Yeah.
When you were on stage, I thought, why didn't he do the lowercase I? But it is lowercase.
Yeah, it's lowercase.
You just have the little bit of blood.
Yeah,
there.
and it's more I. It's not like iPhone.
Yeah.
But some people might be confused because like I thought it'd be a phone. There's a phone.
It's like
involved.
iRobot, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I just thought it was a cool way to put in as in I internally. We have that. We'll be out. Like I said, we're doing a tour around the. If you go to the website, the tour will be on there. What we're gonna do.
It's still evolving.
Still evolving. But we're definitely gonna be on VOD in April. So it'll be out in April, probably along with my comedy special. It's called Let's Take It Back. That'll be my comedy special, and then I'll have them both out there. And then who knows where we're gonna go from there. But or just follow me, Carl Rimi, on YouTube. I'm getting that going now. Tomorrow. But, I got like 300 subscribers, but it's picking
up.
We're blowing up day by day.
Hey, you guys, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified of videos just like this. Also, please share the video. That really does help. We're going to leave all of Carl's links for I Possessed in the description box. You can go there, check out the movie. Also, we're going to leave a link to his brand new YouTube channel and all of his social media. So please subscribe. Please consider joining our Patreon. We put Patreon exclusive. We have some Patreon exclusive from this podcast that is going to be on Patreon. It's $10 a month. It really does help us make these videos. So once again, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys watching. See ya.